God fucking damn it, Max. Thanks for the resub, man. Thank you everybody who's coming through right now. Good afternoon. I'm Arbitrary, creator of no particular significance. Welcome to the stream. Holy shit. It's been a minute, guys. Sorry, it's been a fucking minute. Holy shit. What's this? Tregalia? That's the, those are a list of not one, not two, but, several different time signatures for this song, in the new Deltarune chapters. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking batshit. It's insane. This nigga Toby Fox is fucking nutso, man. Alden, I'm aware. No Deltarune chat right now. No Deltarune chat right now. This is not, I still haven't touched that game. It's been long enough to where like whether I could avoid, that's why I played the game as fast as I did, because I wanted to make sure that I got as much out of spoiler territory as I can. We're gonna come back to the game at some point. I don't know exactly when yet. I'm still coming back from a real busy spell, but we're gonna go through as much as we can, but we'll get there when we get there. Today, we're just chilling. I didn't really have a plan for today, to be honest. Not like last year. Oh shit, wait, how far did you get? I beat it, bro. I beat all 4 chapters. I did all 4 in the stream set. That's the normal. What's good, man? Long time no see. Long time no see, right back at you, man. I'm just coming back off vacation. Shit, it's been a busy ass couple fucking weeks, yo. Oh my goodness. It's good to see everybody, man. Holy shit. Where do I start, man? Where do I start? There's not too much in terms of story time. I truly have just been busy as shit and trying to get 8 bajillion things prepared and handled before I left, after I left. When I did get back, I had 3 things smack me across the fucking face all at once. Almost got my car towed away because fucking my registration got suspended for reasons that I had no idea. I swear to you, I wasn't committing crimes. I just had no idea what happened. And I had to spend an entire day at the DMV figuring that out. It's just been fucking busy, man. It's been fucking busy. And I wanted to actually keep in better touch with you guys while I was away in Florida. I wanted to, like, you know, at least pop in Discord, say, hey, have a little chat here and there. But I was on a train. I took a fucking train down there. I think you're shadow banned from Twitch. Yeah, oh yeah, no, Alden, we're gonna get to stop killing. That's the main point today. The main point today is for me to talk about this stop killing game shit, because I heard about it while I was on vacation and I couldn't do too much research on it because I had dog shit internet. But holy shit, dude. Oh my god. I wanted to make a video on that as soon as I got back home. I started it. By the time I started it, the shit gained an extra 400,000 fucking signatures just like that. It's fucking nuts, man. Oh my goodness. Anyway, in America not knowing what a train is, I've been on the train before. It's more so I knew it would take long. I took a 19-hour train ride, bro. Shit fucking sucked. Shit was work. Going down and back. Shit was ass. So I was stuck there. Wi-Fi on the train was awful. Even the Wi-Fi at the the resort I was staying at was dog shit. I really was only able to just send some basic text messages and watch a couple YouTube videos. Like, that was it. But holy shit. Coach class or sleeper, because the former is held the latter. I was in coach, bro. I was in fucking coach. And honestly, I took this trip before about almost 10 years ago. And it was worse back then. The leg room and shit was actually better now. 19 hours I can cross half of Europe in that time? Yeah, I know. Y'all niggas got better fucking trains. Oh my god. I took the Silver Meteor. That's what I took. The Silver Meteor. Yep. That was fun. That was wonderful. I had a great time. No alcohol required or even allowed on the train. It's okay though. I had that other shit. Anyway, it was chill. It was all right. I couldn't complain about it too much. We had our reasons for taking the train. It wasn't even money because airfare ended up being cheaper, but it was cool. It was cool. I don't even want to remember that train ride. I'm mad as shit actually because on the train ride back, I had a sore throat that was kicking my ass. Bobby, thank you for the 6th. Jesus Christ, Max. I just realized Max and Bobby at 17 and 16 month resubs respectively. I've been doing this for fucking 17 plus months. Oh my God, man. Y'all niggas making me feel old. Alden, you got a new laptop. Congrats, man. I'm excited for you. Holy fuck. Speedy Aquas, what's good, man? Thanks for coming through. Holy shit. Bobby, no, you're not Shadowban. No. Time out. I see you on Firebot. Let me check the actual Twitch, Sean, because... No, dude, I see you in chat. You're fine. Well, I can see you because I'm the streamer. I see everything. I don't know if anybody else can, but can anybody... Speedy Aquas, you just got here. Can you see Bobby? I see everybody. Whoa, wait. Are these quarantined? No, I just have mod options. Yeah, no. I really gotta learn this shit better, man. I gotta figure this shit out. But yeah, stop killing. Oh, niggas wanna talk about this shit. Good. Oh my God. I have been, dog, y'all niggas don't understand, man. Y'all have no fucking clue. I was going to the beach. I was going to the beach last Wednesday, maybe. I was going to the beach last Wednesday in Florida. I go in my car and I see, well, actually, no, here's what we're gonna do. During this stream, and I don't have too much time, I may have the time to watch and go over these videos and chat a little bit, and that's it. This is not gonna be like a super duper long stream. I got stuff to do today, I got plans. Side note, it is my birthday. So I'm probably gonna juke off to actually do some other shit. It's not gonna be a stream like last year's. Unfortunately, I just have not had the time to plan one. But we'll do something fun at some point, I'm sure. But in any case, my main priority, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this so bad. Happy birthday, bitch! I knew the exact inflection. Thank y'all very much. Thank y'all so much. But yeah, nah. So I know. So let's I want to make sure. Is there anything else I want to go over before I get into that? Yes. Last thing I'll say before we start the main focus of the stream today, right? Just focusing on vacation for a bit, because it was fun. I want to talk about it. I went to Universal Studios for the first time in my life, and I got on one roller coaster. That was the Hulk, and it was sick as shit. But like everything else was these fancy ass digital like simulated experience rides where you're on like in like a roller coaster car, but you're not moving on any rails, and you're in like this big ass fucking dome. And the dome is a screen, and the screen spits in your face and slaps you in the face with its dick. It's crazy. It's fucking insane. It's so sick. And I just had a great time. I really feel like going on that. I'm someone that like, you know, I'm split thin all the fucking time. I'm trying to figure out how to make alterations in my life so I can have more time to do the shit that I want to do, which is this. And it's been very challenging. I'm not even gonna bullshit y'all, but I will say I got a very nice break. I had a very good time. I feel rested. I feel energized. I feel ready to ease myself back into this shit. So it feels good. Yeah, no, some actual dog, nigga. When I tell people how much I fucking drive around, how much shit that I do in a week, niggas are like, how do you fucking do it? And I'm starting to try and suck my own dick a little bit with that. Bobby, thank you very much for the 100 bits. For a new stream. What do you mean for a new stream? The stream is new every time. Do you know all the fucking upgrades I make in this shit every time y'all niggas go to fuck the bed? Y'all know what I'm trying to figure out in this motherfucker? I'm figuring shit out, man. I love TV too. Wait, yo. Speaking to that point, yo, Max, I came up with a design plan for a new fucking channel reward. This song is very relevant. Just wait, nigga! I'm very hyped. I'm excited. But I love TV. I love TV a lot. All right. Anyway, this is not what I'm here for. Oh, we going WarioWare up in this? Oh yeah! See? They get it. All right. Let me not burn up all my energy yapping in the start of the stream like I always do. All right. So, last Wednesday, I wake up in the morning and I find this video from Ross. Well, you know what? Let's not even do it that way. Let me pause the music. I'm gonna pull this up and we'll just talk along the way. We're gonna kill as much time as we can here. Not kill time, but we're gonna do it this way. Now I know ahead of time, I'm gonna say like I know that like the situation has advanced so much since this video that I'm about to show came out, but I'm going to show it anyway Because this is where this is probably the best outline of like how the events have progressed since everything started around last year. I wasn't aware of this as an initiative virtually at all. I think I saw like maybe 1 or 2 whispers, possibly, but I never saw like any like real big news about the initiative. So hold on, I want to show you the one that Ross Scott did last week. Hang on, this is it right here, and it's still blowing up like crazy. All right, yeah, we're gonna go through this. We might go through the whole fucking thing. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna watch it through. And I'm just gonna talk about it as I go and share what my thoughts were as I went along. And then I'm gonna show a response video to this that came out just last night, from a different guy who's not involved with the project, but he gives this guy, Ross Scott, the main dude, some very good commentary that I think, whether you agree with the second guy or not, it illustrates the scale and the amount of work that needs to go down for this shit to take place and how important this shit actually fucking is. So I want to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it in a normal video format type way. I just did not have the time. This is peak, activity with it. I want my voice to be heard. As an American that has even a tiny platform and that has people that fucking follow me actively, consistently for over 2 years now in the European Union spread around, I feel a responsibility to talk about this shit. So I want to talk about this shit. So that said, let's begin. So, first and foremost, this fucking guy right here, I'm gonna say already, this fucking guy is the fucking guy. Okay, he's the fucking guy. This man's name is Ross Scott. Ross Scott runs a YouTube channel called Accursed Farms. Accursed Farms has been around for a very long time, for as long as I've been like using YouTube, and not like as a YouTuber, since like the first few times I was actually allowed to go on my computer and pull up YouTube on my own when I was in middle school. This nigga was around making videos for Half-Life as like a parody called Freeman's Mind. This dude, first of all, it's funny as shit. Second, this dude gives a fuck about video games, and he's going to explain where that comes from. I'm gonna go along and just sort of interject in places here and there, but I want this to sort of a handful of y'all probably already seen this. Some of y'all probably know about it vaguely, but we're gonna follow this whole fucking John. We're gonna follow this whole fucking shit. All right, let's begin.
Hello, this is probably the final update to the Stop Killing Games campaign.
Thank God it is not.
Though I'm coming at you a little bit like a time traveler would. It'll make sense in a minute. As a refresher, Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement to stop publishers from effectively destroying video games they have already sold to customers. Now, we've gone about this in many ways, but it's easiest to divide this up by things we've already done and things we can still do, because there's about a dozen things we've already done. Yeah, in fact, here's a list if you want to pause this. Going over this again will be a video in itself.
Okay, before I proceed, I want to say I didn't know about these. This is a lot of words. I'm scared of them. Hear me out for a second. This all started with, and I just found this out maybe 2 or 3 days ago. This all started with a situation that occurred with a game called The Crew, that was published by Ubisoft maybe, I don't know how long ago, maybe 2018, 2017, something like that. And it's this game where you go online, it's basically a driving simulator, and you drive around like what I understand is a pretty picture accurate, like perfect replication of United States like roads and shit. And it's really cool. It's a great simulation. And this all started when Ubisoft was making, I think they had already published The Crew 2, and they were putting out plans to take down The Crew 1, but they gave basically every indication that The Crew 1 would like, I don't think they indicated that The Crew 1 would be accessible like no matter what at some point in the term of service, like even in their like redeem activation code shit, it said this will be active until 2099 when all of us are dead. Like they explicitly said you will have access to this game to this point, and now they're reaching end of life, and the crew was supposed to be getting shut down. That is the argument that started this whole thing. There's a whole other separate video on that Ross Scott's published. I might link to that later. That's a whole separate story in itself, but that's the very brief introduction as to how this has gotten started from that.
I'll talk more about some of this towards the end. So that just leaves things we can still do, which are only 2 items. One is for the UK to sign a government petition to bring this issue before Parliament. Though, keeping it real, I'm not terribly optimistic about this one, since the government response has been a mess by every definition. It's a long and boring story, but the short version is it's hit a bureaucratic roadblock and will stay stuck unless it gets more signatures. But the one that has a lot of power, so much so I think it could change the course of gaming history, is the European Citizens Initiative.
I think Ross Scott might be one of my favorite YouTubers. He's been presentation for a while now. He's been, I've poked in his like window, like his YouTube channel, like maybe a small handful of times within the past like 5 years. And this dude is remarkably consistent. There's like maybe 3 or 4 YouTubers that like come to mind that have a cause like something in the realm of game preservation or something in the realm of just like consumer protections, usually in the form of like things like right to repair or right to, you know, have like certain degrees of warranty, if you like have like faulty hardware, being able to return it, planned obsolescence, that kind of thing. I've seen a small handful of people be this consistent about it. In terms of this specific game space and this issue, this is the fucking guy, dog. I'm telling you.
Now, I said I'm approaching this like a time traveler because with the trajectory we're on, these are both going to fail.
This was as of 10 days ago. So I want to illustrate that point, right? As of 10 days ago, I saw this video maybe 3 days after it came out. As of 10 days ago, this dude who has been investing effort into this initiative and trying to gather signatures, trying to get people involved, trying to spread his reach as much as he can for almost a year, if not more than a year, from every avenue he could, not knowing shit, but figuring it out along the way. This dude worked on this shit for a year and got almost 500,000 people signed at this point, which is an insane amount of outreach, mind you. And his projection last week was that this shit is almost certainly fucking doomed. I realize I'm harping on the first minute and 16 seconds of this video. This might be a longer stream than I thought. But the point that I feel like I might be able to help clarify the importance of this issue from my angle is the degree of scale. It's the degree of how big and how involved the effort must be for this entire thing to move even a little inch, and how far it's gotten and how much it does matter and how much of that was both propelled and neglected in this conversation. You'll see what I'm talking about.
So I figure, why wait until they actually do to tell people? Both the petitions end in July. The Citizens Initiative in particular on July 31st. This video probably won't change the timeline. It's just a last-ditch attempt to wake people up on it. The European Citizens Initiative failing kind of stings. Again, this one is crazy powerful, but the hurdle we just couldn't get past was that it requires 1 million signatures from citizens of EU countries, and we've only made it just under halfway. That's really too bad, because I have high confidence.
Back, what did I miss? We've just started, bro. We just started. You ain't missed shit.
Now, why do I say that? Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that in the EU especially, it's almost a state of lawlessness regarding the practice of game destruction.
This is true. I'll let him talk.
I don't want to put people to sleep here, but the quick legal argument is that the vast majority of games with an online requirement say they can be terminated at any time for any reason. Or Blizzard likes to say any or no reason. But according to the EU Commission, that might be a violation of Directive 93/13 EEC, which protects consumers against unfair terms in consumer contracts. So if that term is unfair, that means that part of the contract is null and void. And if it's null and void, then what does the law say about how long your purchase lasts? Well, it doesn't. That's the whole mess. So if there are no legal guidelines, what are consumer expectations for how long video games last?
We don't fucking have any.
Indefinitely.
We don't fucking have any. So the other, I think he's tried to make this point that I'm about to say in different ways. And I don't know how much he's talked about this specific little niche here, but I think what's potentially even bigger than this whole thing coming down to this specific legal knot that might finally get Parliament attention. What I think the bigger issue here that has kind of been, as he goes on to point out later, the frog boiling in the pot, is that we as fucking video game consumers, like we as part of that clientele, we have not like noticed like people have been trying to get consumers to engage more, especially with like their terms of agreements and stuff when they start games. And if they don't like the terms, either don't agree to them or just like at least read them through to understand what your rights actually are. And games have been in this really unique like gray area where this kind, like we don't have super clear guidelines on that ever since we started prioritizing digital distribution. Ever since maybe 2005 and 6, maybe a little bit before, when selling a game online became a mainstream thing, and that's only snowballed since then. We've had less and less conversation about the idea of actually owning something indefinitely. There's just always been the natural assumption of, well, yeah, you can get this game right now, and then once we move on to the next Xbox or the next PlayStation or the next console or the next generation of games being released, of course we're going to shut down the old ones. And we never really had an opportunity to object to that. It is not the way the industry relationship, our relationship with the industry has worked. We have just sort of just had to sit down and just be like, all right, well, that's the game. Oh, you guys can take it away at any time. Well, I guess I can't fucking do shit. So the game goes away. But this entire time, that's been mostly because there hasn't been any legal challenge to it. Like there hasn't been anybody that's actually taken a bite out of that issue and been like, okay, well, actually, nah, hold up, no, give me my fucking money back or give me something. And there's no conversation there. Side note, ad break, those, fuck them today. I don't have time. I just gotta run through them. I'm sorry, y'all might miss a little bit today. I'm not playing the game. That may be what that's for, at least for the moment. So we're going to keep going.
Even the average online multiplayer video games from the 90s can still work today if you didn't change the hardware or software. So the law wasn't written for this situation. The industry's terms might possibly be illegal, and traditional expectations are games last indefinitely. Now, of course, publishers can't support games indefinitely, but by not giving expiration dates or end-of-life plans, that might be the situation they've put themselves in. I cannot emphasize enough what a mess this is. If you were an impartial judge just trying to interpret the law, you'd have a headache. I don't know what you would do. You'd probably tell the EU Commission they need to make a law on this because this is a glaring omission. So being in the middle of this quagmire right now, if we had rolled up with 1 million signatures demanding that the EU give us basic consumer rights for video games, that would have been the easy way out for regulators.
Big fucking time. And I'm going to, let me get on, big fucking time, right? Because here's the thing. From the perspective of the government, if this issue, if this fucking just vague ghost of a problem that no one can really legally define, that has not been brought up on the radar, that's just been sitting under the surface for over 25 years at this point, maybe 20 years, if this issue suddenly came up out the woodwork, out of virtually nowhere within the span of a year, with over 1 million fucking people, the amount of fucking interest that would generate, the amount of urgency that would inspire in the UK government to be like, whoa, what the fuck did we overlook, would be massive, and that would inspire such a thorough combing through of this issue by the lawmakers and by the industry and by the people that have been most affected by it, Immediately, it would have been no question. Well, not even would have been. We got the signatures now, motherfucker. But we still need more. And this is just the start of the fucking fight. But the point is, it just would have been a massive attention grabber. Or it will be a massive attention grabber with this volume of people speaking to this issue with the specific way that they have this formatted entrance. That's why it's so important. It's the shock value. It's the fact that this problem has gone so hidden for so long that people are coming up out of nowhere being like, hey, yo, nah. We recognize this now. Fix this shit. That's the value in that. That's what's important. Also, Zenith Snake Art, I see you. I'm not sure if your chat is appearing properly. I'm sorry. I might be having a few issues. I think I do see you here. You said, so glad more people will stop talking about stop killing games. Brought enough awareness on the issue with live service games, online single player games turning down for no reason. As an MMO player, I've been used to those types of games turning down for reasons. However, seeing it creep on single player games frequently is bullshit. Abso-fucking-lutely. I'm happy to talk about this because I've had the same fucking problems. I've had friends that deal with the same fucking problems. If you play games regularly in any capacity, and you have for the past maybe 10 years or so, chances are it's happened to you at some point. I have at least probably 10 games in my Steam library that I can probably no longer access or reasonably access because of some DRM policy, or because the licenses were shut down, or because the game servers were just shut down. And maybe I invested money in it, maybe I didn't. But the point is, if I buy something, I fucking own it. That's the principle. That's the principle. Nigga, we're 3 minutes in. We're 3 minutes in.
Because then they would have a mandate. That's what I meant about my half-joke slide about politicians liking easy wins. This situation is such a mess that trying to settle this under existing law is more work than creating laws under a consumer mandate. And thanks to the action we pushed at consumer protection agencies, doing nothing is no longer an option for multiple countries. We've made sure of that. But none of that matters because the initiative is failing. Now, my original thought was that, ironically, it's difficult to get gamers to care about games because a whole lot of people are cruising at maximum apathy these days.
This is so true. In more departments than one. That, I'll let him speak. I won't spend long on that too long.
I think it's more than that. For most of the past year, the initiative has bounced back and forth between being the third and second most popular active initiative in the EU. The only ones that topped it were far more serious social issues. So that says to me, the problem isn't getting gamers to care about games, it's getting people to care about anything.
Yeah.
And frankly, that is a checkmate move. If people can't care enough to write their name on a form to protect their rights and stop things they care about from being destroyed, then yeah, I can't do much with that. I am not a Care Bear that can shoot light out of my stomach to make people give a damn.
Neither the fucking mob, but I'll tell you this, I can yell at niggas. I ever since I started my channel, one of my priorities, aside from me developing my own shit, has been to like try and point out fucking the issues, like the intersections between gaming and law and consumer rights in the future, and what companies that make games are planning on doing or are supposed to be doing to a certain extent, like what they want to do to maximize their profits, to change the industry in ways that benefit them and not the rest of us. And I don't think I'm the most effective speaker for those topics, but like, it's also a thing where it's like, you know, if you know about it at all, if you pay any attention to this situation at all, you'd understand how bad it really is. Like, the game industry is so fucking crazy. It's so fucking dog shit evil, man. It's actually insane how, not just how predatory they are, but how predatory they want to be. They want to charge you for every bullet you fucking fire in Overwatch, nigga. Not literally Overwatch, but you get what I mean. They realize that gaming is one of the most expensive to produce mediums of entertainment, and it's one of the most psychologically like predatory ones. That's where you get gacha games from, and they want to like find as many avenues as they can to monetize or maximize how much money they get or minimize how much money they lose no matter what they do. And that's what they want to do. And to satisfy those goals, they are more than happy with letting certain oversights like these problems get completely overwritten or completely ignored for God knows how fucking long. Just to make sure that they face no consequences for the shit. Also, I like Undertale 123. I see ya. Thank you for coming through. Oh my goodness. They want to sell you every essential part of a game individually. Exactly. They want to break games down. They want to sell you DLC. They want to split it up. They want you to fucking basically. They want games to be a fucking like virtual world, like Second Life or whatever. And you go in and you, just like in real life, when you spawn on this planet, and as soon as you're able to walk and talk and shit and sign a contract, everything that you have is something that you have to pay for, that you do not own, or you try to own it, but it's going to be an uphill fight to try to own it. They want it to be where you just give them money and you own nothing. Not okay. We can't be doing this shit. What video are we watching? We are watching there was a recent video last week posted by this guy. His name is Ross Scott. He is, I believe, the founder of the Stop Killing Games initiative. And this video was him talking about how he thought it was going to fail last week. As of this morning, it has now succeeded, at least in terms of its initial threshold. However, I've wanted to talk about it for over a week. I've been away, and I feel like it's even more important to talk about this now while it's popping off, because this shit did almost fail, and it's very bad that it almost failed. And we're just getting started. We're 5 minutes in, dog.
Plus, it's hard to know how many people don't care and how many never knew about the initiative in the first place. It's certainly not for a lack of trying. I have tried to push this everywhere I can, though I'm an amateur at all of this. I have a medium-sized YouTube channel for making comedy videos involving gaming. That's it for my advantages. I want y'all to remember what he's saying here, okay? I want you to keep in mind his perspective as to how much he feels like he's doing, how much he feels like his platform is useful, how useful he feels. Anytime he mentions how much he thinks he's actually getting, I want you to pay very close attention to that. That is a matter of perspective. That is a matter of the scale thing I want to talk about, okay? I want to come back to that later. I've seen his video already. I know vaguely what he's going to say for the most part. I'm going back through it, but keep those things in mind because he said that throughout the entire thing. And I want to counter some of that. Not in a negative way. It's nothing but love, but we'll see. Now, I've tried to leverage this to push the initiative, get as much help as possible, but I've never been great at marketing.
Also, if y'all can let me know how audio is, if there's any issues, that'd be great. Volume, whatever, my voice, whatever.
I never wanted to do any of this. I've been beating the drum on the problem of game destruction going on 10 years now, but the problem only got worse and worse, and nobody was doing a damn thing about it. So when the opportunity to do something finally presented itself in the form of the biggest game shut.
Video's a bit low. I'll turn my microphone down a little bit. Oh, actually, no, I can do that, and then I'll turn myself down a bit. All right, let me know if I royally fucked everything. We'll see in a second.
Down from a European company, I pounced on it as hard as I could. So I've hated doing almost every aspect of this campaign and will be very happy for it to end.
I believe that.
But I would have hated myself even more if nobody stepped up to do anything.
It's good now.
So
sick.
In light of that, I think our exposure has been phenomenal. We've gotten a lot of support or just fair coverage from major YouTubers. Some ordinary gamers.
Listen to this fucking list, y'all. Listen to this fucking list. Audio's fine, maybe captions a bit bigger. Can I even change that? I don't think I can change that, but that would be nice. For me to change that, I would need to move this chat bar. I can't move it very reliably right now, unfortunately, but it might. We'll see.
Young Ye, Lewis Rossman has been a bro especially. Gamers Nexus, Linus Tech Tips, Game Linked, Philip DeFranco, Asmongold, Black Panther, Second Wind, including Yahtzee and the other Frost, Spawn Wave, Civi 11, Mandalore Games, Bellular News, Digital Foundry, Josh Strife Hayes, Tech Tangents. Honestly, it goes on and on. I'm leaving out a lot of people. My apologies on that. We've gotten game news outlet coverage. PC Gamer, IGN, Rock Paper Shotgun, Kotaku, TechSpot, Eurogamer, PC Games N, Destructoid, Game Rant. There's more. And regular news outlets, Metro, Euronews, Variety, Forbes. Also many non-English outlets for France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Hungary. There's a lot.
All this fucking coverage.
Developers.
All this fucking coverage, dude.
Landfall Games, Mala Industria Games, Octay, those awesome guys, and developers of emulators like Dolphin,
Crazy.
SX2,
Crazy.
PPSSPP, and some more indie developers.
Destroyed by one Nepo baby? We're going to get to him. We're going to get to him.
I may have lost track of. I'm sorry. And this last one is.
And also, side note, not destroyed. That bitch ass nigga lost.
It's my favorite, if true. Developers from Ubisoft Ivory Tower. The people who made The Crew, which is the game we used to get all this action rolling in the first place. Yeah, it turns out a lot of developers who spend years of their lives working on something don't like seeing it destroyed by publishers. Who'd have thought? And I've been saying yes to almost all offers for interviews, questioning, or any kind of outreach opportunities that came our way. I honestly don't know how many interviews I've done on this issue at this point. It's easily dozens.
Look at this fucking work, man. Look at all this work. You look at this work. Look at this work. Look at this work. And you tell me this nigga's not the fucking guy. Hold on one second. Y'all not gonna sit here and tell me that that's just not putting in motherfucking work. If there are no pirate software haters, I'm dead. Dog, don't get me started. Don't get me started. I'm mad in particular about that. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. I don't even want to spend too much time on it, but we will get there.
Though not all of them were on video. One was even for BBC Radio. And then there would be the spontaneous offers that would pop up throughout the entire campaign. Like working with members of
something
European
about hammers and
Parliament
cars.
To push through questions to the EU Commission. Having meetings with the BEUC as another route to the EU Commission. Meetings with representatives from GOG. That one was looking promising until they fired the representatives we were talking with, then backpedaled. That sucked. Meetings with representatives
that could have
from
been great.
Heineken. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. Heineken, of all companies, supports the initiative because it ties in well with some gamer lounge campaign they have going. That one was going to be a huge boost for us, but they ended up having to postpone it a year, which is too late. I've had meetings with Fudo, F-Camp. Probably the funniest of these was another member of European Parliament who is also on the Committee on Culture and Education. Their staff reached out to me, set appointments, canceled, then kept having to reschedule 3 times. And this is all on top of the day-to-day outreach, organizing, and just basic communication with God knows how many people. Again, I've hated doing this because I have to fight all my instincts not to bother people. I hate being a pest, but you kind of have to do some of that when campaigning.
Very true.
At this point, I've written a couple thousand emails connected to the campaign, trying to do outreach, research, and just keeping things together. I haven't done that much on Twitter because I don't have much of a presence there. Same goes for Reddit. Yeah, Reddit. I received so many reports of promotions of the initiative being deleted. And some of the ones that stayed up are some of the most hostile to the initiative that I've seen.
I'm not sure why that is.
Yeah, isn't Reddit just a wonderful place to be nowadays?
I feel like there was some explanation I got as to why Reddit in particular was kind of bullshitty about this, but I'm not entirely sure. But it's weird regardless. Also, actually, I might be able to fix one thing with the captions. Hold on one second. Just while I'm thinking about it, there might be one thing I can do to fix that. Nope, never mind. Not here. Proceed. Never mind.
We did get a Discord launched where people could independently organize, so I wouldn't be bottlenecking anything if others had better ideas on what to do. I believe currently they're trying to contact TV stations about this in Europe. something I never would have had a clue how to do. That's exactly the sort of thing I was hoping would emerge. Yeah, I really want to emphasize that from the second the initiative launched, nothing had to go through me. It's been there, in public, this entire time, with easy multilingual guides at stopkillinggames.com. We blazed a trail to make it easy for others to act on this, but that wasn't enough. So it feels like I've been running a rickshaw carrying people to the destination to save games, except it's breaking down halfway. The work on this has never stopped. I never wanted my involvement on the campaign to last this long. I kept hoping after launch, somebody with more reach and better at campaigning could just point people to the destination and get it done. But no, I've had to keep hauling that rickshaw.
Yep.
Not every week, but there have been many weeks on the campaign where I've been working 12 to 14 hours a day to keep things moving to get signatures. And the only way I was even able to do that was to burn some of my savings and put everything else on hold. I've been kind of stupid about this because it's our only shot.
Not at all.
Again, this is an amateur effort. That means there's no staff and no salary.
The way this opportunity popped up was one that requires this kind of urgency. It's not every day that you get a situation as uniquely, perfectly tailored to the problem at hand, like the situation that you went through with the crew. There's no situation. It's so rare for a perfect legal storm like that to pop up to capitalize on. He did the right thing in trying to like fucking just fuck it, all hold, like no holds barred, just burn out all my, like, to capitalize on an opportunity like that to change everything in one fell swoop. Appropriate move, in my opinion.
So if I need help with something and ask a volunteer to help with it and they disappear on me, well, then they disappear on me and I need to do it myself. Or if I can't, then I need to hunt down someone else to help with it and hope they don't disappear on me. Meanwhile, my channel has been suffering, as my viewers can tell you. I'm stretched too thin. Now, I have been maybe fairly criticized for not running a fundraiser for this. There are reasons for that. The first is, until recently, I didn't know where we would spend it. People would say, buy ads, but the initiative could be considered political. And YouTube doesn't allow political ads in a lot of EU countries. And neither does Twitch. Good luck reaching gamers without YouTube or Twitch. So taking money with no plan, that's a grift. And another reason is I am one of the worst people to manage that sort of thing. Financial paperwork is an Achilles heel of mine and seems to take me 10 times more effort than anything else. I mean, I can do accounting, budgeting,
I know Ross didn't want to be the face of this, but he was definitely the guy for it because of your persistence with a highly respect. That's the point I want to touch on later. Once I get through this video, I want to pull up the video by Lewis Rossman that responds to this, where he's giving him a lot of tough love on that exact point, because you're absolutely correct. You already put in the work, bro. Whether you believe it or not, you are the fucking guy. You are the guy. Like, the guy. Already on legendary shit in terms of how much effort you've been able to expend. And that's not to say I have no empathy. Like, I have all the empathy in the world for how tired you are. I get it. But nigga, when you throw that punch against scale like this, you start a fight. A fight don't end in one punch. That shit's mink, for God knows how fucking long. You're already the guy.
That's not a problem. No, I mean having knowledge of all the obscure forms you need to fill out, what all the tax laws that apply are, what all the specialized terminology is, and just all the hidden rules. Now you might say just hire an international tax accountant for multiple countries. Okay, there goes a third of our funding then. So what are we even doing? I cannot emphasize how much I struggle with financial business crap like that. So the thought of me putting together a fundraiser,
intimidating,
considered a political fund that needs to adhere to laws in multiple countries, and if I make a mistake, that could be considered a crime? Oh, no. That's like asking somebody with severe
Valid fear.
dyslexia to
Entirely
write a book
valid fear.
on War and Peace. I am the wrong person for that job. But I've still been trying, to the best of my ability anyway. I didn't discover this until late in the process, that even though general ads were out,
He is that dude,
sponsor
Alden.
messages were still an option for some countries. And some mysterious benefactors emerged offering to pay them directly. But that means I needed to find all these channels and broker.
Also, side note, I want to focus on that point too. Mysterious benefactors. Mysterious benefactors. The fact that this is a problem that, and like, you know, it's not that people can't support these things anonymously or whatever. Like, I get it. People don't always want to be associated with the cause or whatever. I understand that. But, you know, cases where you are, not always, but cases where you're in a position to contribute money to a cause and have your contribution be so significant that it does impact something very directly, those don't always like encourage people to do so anonymously, but when they do, it's usually because there's some kind of consequence that they can reasonably expect that they don't want to deal with. That is the level at which you're operating right now. You're dealing with shit that people are scared enough to touch it, with how intense this shit might get over time, with affiliations, with whatever references and cross references people might make to your action in supporting this thing in the future. My $10,000 given to this cause in 2025 might come back to bite my ass legally in the middle of some lawsuit or affiliation or political action committee like record or something that comes back 10, 15 years down the line. That's the league you're punching in right now, bro. That's the shit you're fucking with. A lot of people, especially in the gamer space, don't understand the politics end of this, where the actual like business and contract ends of this go. I can't claim to very much either, especially not in terms of Europe. But like, you know, it's very if you're an adult, if you're like fucking, you know, 14 years old and like you're playing Roblox or whatever, you know, have fun. I like it'd be cool if you got involved, but you know, have fun, like whatever. But like, if you've been with this shit for a minute, if gaming has been your life, like it's been mine for 25 years today, on God, like the involvement that goes on in the back of this shit matters a lot, and it does add up. And people all over the place are aware of that. If they're throwing money at this shit, but they don't want to put their name on it, that says something. I'm not trying to shame them. I'm not trying to say that they're being too fearful or whatever, but what I'm saying is there's real consequences to this shit. And when you're, despite this cause being all but objectively perfectly correct from a moral standpoint, there's still that fear, and that fear comes from the complications and the threats and the dangers that come from getting involved in a fight like this. It's that fucking real. It's that fucking real.
All these deals. So as a last-ditch effort, I've been looking through hundreds of targeted non-English gaming channels trying to find good candidates for this. Then work with bilingual liaisons for each language, then try to put together a contract and figure out what a good offer is for the amount of views we expect. I am so out of my depth on this, but I'm still trying.
God fucking speed.
At this point, I've browsed through more clickbait AI-generated thumbnails than I have the entire rest of my life. I honestly can't decide which part of the campaign I've hated the most. Acting as an advertising broker, not knowing our budget or what's a good offer, or trying to research laws governing this practice that don't exist, except I didn't know that at the time. So how are these sponsored ads going? Are they going to get us the signatures? As of recording this, I don't know. It's a Hail Mary pass as it is. I'm just going to assume it won't, and I'm completely spent on ideas on how to get more signatures. I did everything I possibly could to make this campaign work. It wasn't enough. Or rather, I did everything that made sense to me. I did receive a lot of suggestions of things I do not think would have worked. A bunch of people told me to make short form videos on this. I tried that. They got a fraction of my usual views.
Let me speak to that for a second, because I can tell you the exact reason why he got that advice. I can tell you the exact reason why he got that advice. He got that advice because of pirate software. That's why he got that fucking advice. Somebody name me right now any other YouTuber, content creator, influencer, developer, whatever the fuck you want to call him. You name me anybody else that in this space that has had as much success with transmitting their content and their message over the YouTube Shorts medium or over short form media, specifically in a span of time like this and over this type of territory. Name me anybody else. That's why. Most people in this space right now, when that is how fucking infectious and how massively influential pirate software was in terms of his climb up the leaderboard with that shit. That is how much clout he had and still had, and that inspired so many people to start making moves with the YouTube Shorts shit. That's the only reason why it's considered viable. Nobody was fucking talking about YouTube Shorts 2 years ago. Nobody fucking was. Everybody thought it was dick riding TikTok or some shit. Everybody thought it was stupid. Everybody thought that it would not have the same power to spread out in the same way. Not in this space. Maybe if you're a fucking, maybe if you're Nick DiGiovanni or Mr. Beast or some prank nigga on a subway or type shit in the middle of New York, if you're doing like fun cutesy videos or whatever the fuck, yeah, you can, blow up on TikTok, on YouTube, TikTok, whatever the fuck, that's fine. But in terms of this association, you're trying to do a thing for gamers, make short form content. That strategy, it may not have been pioneered by Fiber Software, but he is the model for its success. People take his advice. I've taken his advice. Many people do, and that's why I'm mad at him, but separate point. We'll get there.
I've been told make more videos on my channel saying the same thing. But lots of views on my channel doesn't help if it's all the same audience.
And that's the purpose
because
of shorts, to spread that.
Signed once. We have to reach new audiences. I've been told because
there was no guarantee shorts would work.
Streamer. I might consider it if I thought it would work, but I don't.
It might now. It might now. If he starts streaming now, if he were to start streaming after the coverage of this getting 1 mil signatures, and he just keeps his stream as the primary touch point, I guess, he'd have to figure out a way to do it while still being able to do the work that he's doing, or get staff and like have them do the dedicated activism work while he sits on the streamer soapbox. I think that could help him more than it hurts. But I don't think that's something he'd want to do. I think not to speculate too much. I just think there's potential there still. I don't know.
I've been told I should have made a bigger deal about countries crossing minimum thresholds. Well, I didn't want to celebrate that because that's an arbitrary number. They're the minimums. All that really matters is that 1 million number, and we're a long ways away. Now, another suggestion has been to make a plea to big gamers like PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, Moist Critical, Markiplier, anyone like that.
When I first watched this, Moist Critical I think he had just made the video the next day after I saw it. And that's where all this recent snowballing has come from. He'll explain that in a second. TBS YouTube Shorts is the best way for spreading his message. Insta Reels are too shit, and TikTok tends to encourage misinfo. Across the 3 of the platforms, yes. Across the 3 platforms, YouTube Shorts is easily the best one. But the issue is that even overall, I would say YouTube is probably the most transparent in terms of giving you data to help you understand why your videos might not be taking off so you can tweak that. Like YouTube, out of all 3, is probably the most non-malevolent. But even still, it's like at the point where he was trying to make videos on this initiative and he would be experimenting with the format of the videos to try and figure out what the best way would be to do it until it picked up. Like, YouTube Shorts is very much like you have to experiment and keep on trying different shit until it works. unless you have a good formula right out the gate. I've been making shorts for over a year now. I have like 50 of them, and I've been trying to improve and like figure out like and compare and shit. Like, I'm not saying that mine should be blown the fuck up, but I'm saying like there's like a meta game to it that like I don't think there was much time to invest in that from what he's describing. But it's definitely probably one of the better options in terms of a media format to utilize.
Well, yeah, I think that might be a great idea. Our biggest obstacle in the campaign has always been getting enough exposure, and they have exposure. I think any one of them could end this with one video and change gaming history. Problem is, I have no idea how to reach any of them. Plus, I can understand if they might shy away from this. First, they're probably busy people.
Being too humble. Hold on.
But second,
Let me
they
not
may
shit on
not
him.
want the kind of heat that comes with changing gaming history, even if it's for the better. And third, if they back this, then a million people might mob them to back something else, and then there's no end to it.
That's the one reason I'll
I
hold.
can understand some people wanting to sit this out.
I do understand that. I feel like, considering the numbers, considering how big these guys actually are, I don't really care if they don't want to change gaming history because they already have. That's the thing. If you're fucking Markiplier, nigga, if you are fucking PewDiePie, nigga, you have not just changed gaming history. You are like gaming history, nigga. Like you are. He uploaded a new video 17 minutes ago. Do I change course? Do I? Okay. Okay. I'm going to check that out briefly. I want to continue this one so I can talk my shit. Cause that's what I came here for. But I imagine that it's a celebratory video. I imagine it's a celebratory thing because they just got the signatures. They just got the signatures. It's shorter. It's shorter. Yeah, it needs more. It needs more.
Hey.
Okay, let's save this for the end. I'm gonna save that for the end. I'm gonna save that for the end because that'll be the shortest video we watch today. I have 3. We're still on the first one, but that'll be the shortest video we watch today. But we got it. We got it. We got it.
I mean, yeah, it really sucks that we can't get enough attention on this badly needed change in the games industry.
Well, my point. These influencers, the giga huge ones, I feel like had a huge responsibility to talk about that. I don't want to dog shit on them for not doing so because I understand privacy, bro. I do get it. But you are already like considered kings in the gaming space. Like you already have influence over this shit that they understand is massive. If they lift a finger, niggas freak the fuck out. So I do get it, but I feel like there is a line between kind of sitting still and not doing much and I'm glad Moist Critical spoke out. I'll say that.
But I'm not shocked either. Honestly, I'm already punching way, way above my weight class on this. My main promotion video for it got a little under 250,000 views, and about 15% of my audience is from EU countries who are eligible to sign. So that means I shouldn't have expected much more than 30 to 40,000 signatures from my audience, and we're over 10 times that. It's almost like a lot of people out there don't like having their games destroyed.
True.
Anyway, most of the criticism I've seen for how I've run this campaign kind of comes down to be more popular. Yeah, sure, maybe everybody else knows how to do that. I don't. I kind of view that critique as similar to don't be poor financial advice. And that's from people who support the campaign. For all the support and fair coverage we've received, there's been some opposition too. Though I want to say 80, maybe even 90% of people who are against the initiative are against it because they think it's doing something it's not. For example, the #1 criticism about the initiative that we've never been able to shake is that it's unworkable because you can't expect publishers to support games forever. Yeah, we know.
Okay. To this point about this argument continuing to come up, I don't talk enough to gamers TM to know how much of a talking point this is amongst the common citizen or the average consumer, or just from a consumer perspective rather than a publishing or, executive perspective. But I just want to say, from my angle, right, as someone that just buys the game and plays them, I understand that games, can't be sustained like forever, fundamentally. I do. But that's not a point that I feel like I'm going to be urgently raising up. Like, nah, they can't do it forever. Like, that's something I'd like to let them assess and tell me, declare it to me fairly, so that I have reasonable expectations on that. And I feel like for the most part that happens, but I'd love to know who's bringing this up as a talking point. Who's out here saying consistently, oh, well, you can't do that because who's desperately clamoring for that? That's something we largely understand. We've seen enough games die naturally of natural causes because they're simply outdated for us to not have to, have delusions over that. Like, I feel like that makes sense. Why is that being brought up as a means of countering this movement? That doesn't make sense. He's not advocating for that. He never was. This conflation amongst gamers that don't agree with the initiative is fucking batshit. It technically can be done. Like, FF11 has stopped getting big content nearly 10 years ago and is still kicking those kind of specials. Yeah, FF11 is a weird case, but it definitely can be done. And even if it couldn't be done to the same scale of having the same quality of server and active server consistency post end of life as pre end of life, it could still be a matter of fucking like, okay, hi, Team Fortress 2. Thank you, Alden. I was going to say, Team Fortress Classic is still accessible. Private servers. Valve did not limit themselves in being able to let people play the fucking game still. Team Fortress 2 has been active for how fucking long? I can still play TF Classic. I can still play Half-Life 1. I can still play Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. Or whatever the fuck. I can still play all that shit. So it's fucking possible.
That's why we've never asked for that. I must have said this 100 times now.
And
it was
Counter-Strike.
written on the website from day one. But this keeps coming up over and over again. See, that's the thing. As soon as you say 3 words on requiring end-of-life plans, gamers especially will jump to some conclusion, and I never know where they're going to land.
I'd love to know which gamers. I'll beat y'all ass myself.
Non-gamers tend to be much better at understanding the initiative because they're not coming with a whole bag full of assumptions. A couple other criticisms are how this would violate copyright law by forcing publishers to give up their intellectual property.
Not necessarily.
No, it wouldn't. Some of you may want to pause this part.
Actually, I might want to. Customer would have no additional right. Hold on. The initiative wouldn't conflict with copyright law for 2 reasons. 1, the customer would have no additional rights beyond what they were sold in the first place, the ability to run a copy of the publisher's game. The only difference between now would be the publisher would no longer be able to permanently revoke the license without any fault. 2, because the initiative focuses exclusively on the outcome of a working game and not the methodology for doing so, no specific demands for any IP are being made to the publisher. This leaves full discretion to the publisher in how they wish to manage their IP. Right. So they wouldn't have to give up their fucking source code or maintain servers. They'd have to figure out a way to make sure that the game still runs smooth. That could be a matter of uniquely complicated engineering that may take time, that may take resources, but in theory, especially for not getting into specific cases, but in theory, it should be done through their, from their angle. They should take the approach that they need to make sure that it's done in such a way that does not fuck over their resources. They can engineer that, and that effort would be quadruply more valuable even if they poured the resources into that as much as they did into maintaining a separate server indefinitely. It would be more efficient for them to make sure that the game has a solid end-of-life plan, whatever that might mean. It may be different depending on the game, but the point is they need to exercise their ability to figure that shit out and not just leave the shit in the wayside.
Or how this won't work because of end-user license agreements.
Good point, Alden.
That's also not a problem. Or how this is impossible because publishers already have agreements with other companies and don't have the rights to distribute that code. We're aware of that. Yes, the initiative is still possible. Those are the ones I've seen most organically. Beyond that, there is a clear patient zero where others come from. Okay, I really don't want to do this next part, but it's become a liability for the campaign for me not to. Our biggest critic by far is YouTuber and streamer Pirate Software, who goes by Thor. If your only exposure to Stop Killing Games has been this video, then you've been misinformed. This video is by someone who does not understand the campaign, has been trying to stop it, and has been making up what it is about. I am not saying that lightly. I will prove it in a minute.
I also want to say, before he even gets into this, right, because there's a chance that I end this stream, I leave this VOD up, somebody sees it, somebody on Pirate Software's side that's a very, fervent fan of his, comes across and is still in a state of defense. And they might look at what has played in this video up until this point and what's about to play now and assume that, Ross here is being uncharitable or whatever the case is, or not expanding on shit. Dog, I just gotta say, before I even get into this shit, this, I've been scammed by this so many times, bro. I truly have, and I'm really getting sick of it. I have been, there is not a single one of us here that is immune to two things: propaganda and parasocial relationships. No fucking human on earth is immune. If we were, we would not have the shit that we're dealing with right now in terms of our collective relationship with the internet as human beings. All that to say, when you watch enough people through a screen, and when you watch them for a long enough time, and when you make your life, speaking about me now, when I have made my life largely about observing people and learning about how people, how people's emotions work, and I got my degree in psychology. Like when I've tried to learn so much about what a person means when they're talking, and what a person looks like when they're talking honestly, and what a person looks like when they're not talking honestly, when they're speaking in a guarded way, in a way that seems like, they're trying to be more careful. You pick up a lot of things. And the main thing that I've been able to pick up throughout this entire conversation from Ross Scott is that this nigga is so fucking authentic. This nigga is so goddamn real. And this nigga has exemplified so much good faith throughout this entire thing, throughout all of this. Not just Pirate Software, but throughout like every single thing that is trying to approach it as healthily and as reasonably and in the most stable way he can possibly manage. I see that effort not only through the words that he speaks, but through the way his fucking eyes and mouth move or don't move. Like you can just there's a cadence to him. There you can feel the effort and the exasperation in the breath that comes out of his mouth when he speaks words through his lips. And I say all that to say that if you are under the impression, even still, that Thor has been telling the truth about this campaign, you are so sorely fucking mistaken. And I'm furious about the fact that he has gone this fucking long being able to spew such bullshit about this campaign in particular that can change so much for so many fucking people and restore consumer rights. It's insane to me. It's insane to me how far out of whack this shit has gotten spun by this fucking man. And I am beyond disappointed. What's he got to say? TBH, I think Thor knew what was being said. He just didn't want it to affect his unfinished game. Rude to assume, but that's what I gathered from watching Thor's video on him talking about it. How would this affect his unfinished game? How? Where's the correlation? Like, not coming at you, but like, where's the correlation? He hasn't even sold it. There's no pre-orders. It's a demo. There's no license that anybody signed. There's no consequence to him. I can't think of one.
Now you might be thinking, okay, so some YouTuber got something wrong on the internet. So what? See, that was my thinking too. The problem is how incredibly influential this YouTuber has been.
Enormously
Remember that
so.
list of coverage on the campaign? Well, best I can tell, Thor's coverage has been bigger than literally anyone else on those lists, except Asmongold.
The Steam
and
connection.
The only video
Okay.
Asmongold had on this bigger than Thor's was about Thor's video. So for all practical purposes, Thor here has been the #1 voice on the campaign, and he's been lying about what it is. That's a bit loaded, though.
You thought I could pay for early access build to Heartbound that has more content? For just one extra area? Oh my god. Is Link the same as it kind of being online? Oh, okay, like that part makes sense. I did address that.
In this case,
Man.
I'm using the second definition of lie. I have no evidence it's the first. This video came out right as we were building momentum, then except for one boost in Germany, the signatures started drying up like clockwork. This put me in kind of a no-win scenario too, because if I ignored it, then a lot of people were going to get misinformed about the campaign. But if I did a response video, which is not something I wanted to do anyway, then it might look like drama farming, which could understandably turn off a lot of people from the campaign, because it's not about that at all. So I quickly made this video trying to clear up all misconceptions and concerns about the initiative with timestamps for everyone's questions, hoping the truth would eventually come out. I can see now that was a mistake. I should have just embraced the drama. To
True.
this day, I'm still getting frequent comments and emails about the same falsehoods about the campaign that originated in this video. Well, now I have nothing to lose. If we don't get the signatures, then none of this matters anyway. So if this campaign is failing because of me not talking about this, then I'll at least correct history here on the way down. I'll get this over with and go over what I think are the biggest points of Pirate Software's videos. I'm not going to go over everything because collectively Thor has made hours of video on both me and the movement.
Reasonable.
I'd be here forever. Believe me, I could address smaller things too, and kind of already have. All right, let's start. Okay, point number 1. Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives is basically, we don't want single-player games
No.
to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change.
That is a
They need to
single
be
element,
specific that they're
and it was
talking
not
about
named specifically for a
single-player
purpose.
games that do not need a server to support them.
No.
And as much as they want it to be about specifically games where it is a single-player game that has always online functionality, it would impact every live service game that exists, instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
No. That's
I really would love to know where that argumentation even came from. Like, it's such a weird one to bring up. Like why? It's not explicitly stated anywhere that it's about just single player games. First of all, it's included, like it's part of, it's underneath the umbrella of issues that the initiative is trying to go after. But in terms of like that specific wording, where is that coming from? Ross may not have any evidence of it being like overt lying, but like, where did it come from? Why is that the argumentation? It cannot have come from conflation of words that were put out on the actual movement. Why did he make that argument? Why was he ignoring everything else? Sekrom, what's good? Good to see you. Thanks for coming through. Doesn't make sense because Ross used the crew as the starting point for the movement. Exactly. What is the problem here? Where did single player come up? The crew is not a primarily single player game. It has a single player. No, it doesn't even have a single player function. I think the crew 2 has one. And yes, it was live service.
It's not what it is. Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up, and I have no idea where he got that impression. This is what I mean. It's harder for gamers to understand this because they come with so many assumptions.
I think that's being charitable. I think it's harder for gamers to understand this because a lot of gamers are the fucking stupid. I think that's the bigger fucking problem here. It'd be one thing if it were a genuine conflation. It'd be one thing if something were mentioned and it just didn't like it is this does not compute system shut down, that'd be one thing. This was not that. It's making me think that it's not coming from a place of stupidity or misinterpretation. It's coming from a place of malice. Because this is literally, this idea of it being single player only just spawned. It just came out of fucking nowhere. Where did it come from? Where the fuck did it come from? Thor pointing out DRM in single player is why I think it was against the cause of his own game being affected. Pointing out DRM in single player. You could be right, but then it's like, I don't want to go too deep in that rabbit hole because honestly, up until very recently, I still held his game development in relatively good faith. Like I was genuinely interested in the development of Heartbound. I wanted to like keep on it because like I would, like many others, I was inspired by the dude. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's see what you fucking got. You know, I wouldn't have figured that it would be this long a development with it, but also I thought, you know, he fucking exploded when Nuclear has a bunch of projects going on. Maybe he couldn't get to the game. You know, it's reasonable, I guess. I try to be really human about this type shit because I don't want, you know, my expectations as a fucking viewer to be completely misaligned with what somebody's project is meant to be, or how soon it's supposed to be accomplished. But you're raising question marks over my head here. Aren't live service games stereotypically multiplayer? Why was Thor just lying out of his ass like that? That's a good ass fucking question, Daz. I have no fucking idea. They don't have to be. There are a tiny handful of single player games that are exclusively live service that have already died for the most part. Those do exist, but they're pretty rare. But the problem, and that honestly speaks to the problem too, because that is a real problem, and that is included, and those issues are pretty niche, relatively speaking, to the broader umbrella of issues that Ross is pointing out. But the thing is, you as Thor pointing out that this needs this specificity is taking an initiative that is meant to tackle the whole broad spectrum of problems, and you're telling him, no, focus on them one by one. And it's like, nigga, we ain't got time for that. We don't have time for that. These niggas are getting fucking rampant, rabid. These niggas want to bleed you fucking dry. They don't give a fuck about your rights. They don't. And they will continue to capitalize on that and do that in worse and worse and worse ways unless you act now. Unless you act on this specific situation that is uniquely tailored to get a fire starter on this shit. You want to take this opportunity and just throw it away because it's not specific enough. Bullshit. Bad fucking faith. Suck my fucking dick.
It's like that saying about doctors being the worst patients. So let's clear this up. It's the first line on the website. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. But the movement includes all this stuff from earlier, and he was mostly talking about the initiative. Well, the short version is the initiative is about requiring publishers to have end-of-life plans for games they've sold to customers in the future. So when they shut them down, customers can continue running them without their support. The long version depends on what kind of transaction is being made.
Hold on. Okay, those are fine.
As you can see, it's not easy to explain in a soundbite. But if you notice, we don't make a distinction between single-player and multiplayer games. That's because the law doesn't either. So why make this even harder? Both the movement and the law are making distinctions on how games are sold. Also, that part he said about it affecting all live service games, yes and no. It would affect most live service games in the future, but the initiative is not retroactive.
Yes.
So that's one thing Thor doesn't understand, but he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player.
Which is so stupid. Side note.
Once again, he made that up, and I have no idea why he thought that.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the raids soloable? Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down, and suddenly you have to make it a single player game for every individual that ever bought the game. That's what they're asking for.
No.
Because they would have to sunset live service games as a single player experience. The idea that suddenly you need to make every single live service game playable single player offline? No, dude.
Correct.
Okay. Now, when I was making my video on this, right, I was less angry at Thor. I was trying to approach this from a place of good faith and also trying to just see Ross's perspective, Thor's perspective, not trying to mediate them like they're fucking babies, but I wanted to see, okay, wait, you are coming from this angle, these, values, these angles with shit. And Thor was coming from his own set of angles. Why are these the focuses that you're taking? Why are these directions that you're taking this logic? And my immediate thought here with Thor making that argument is that him misrepresenting their talking points is the biggest. Him misrepresenting the talking points is the biggest crime. I feel like this is the one point where potentially, and I'm not being super gratuitous here, but potentially it could be from an angle of authentically, recklessly, stupidly, but authentically jumping the gun in logic from the perspective of a developer and seeing something that could potentially, as a poor prediction, require developers to make moves that are more in line with something like converting a multiplayer game to single player. It's such a jump in logic that it's fucking crazy. I don't think it's a realistic expectation in any capacity, whether that be like the instant this shit were to hit courts, right? In a timeline where this argumentation reaches the courts finally, and the developers are deliberating, and XYZ just keeps going back and forth, right? At some point, it will come up that to ask us to convert these games with all this work and all this money and all these resources to a single player experience would be unreasonable. That's a reasonable prediction to make, right? And like, it'd be impossible. It'd be impossible to ask all the developers to do it. Why are you jumping to that conclusion then if you already recognize the scale to which it'd be ridiculous? Like you're saying, oh shit, fire bad. He wants us to do this bad thing, but you're talking about how bad it could be, but you have no evidence that's the direction you're going in. Like where is the jump coming from? If you're not deliberately just outright trying to lie about this shit, then the only other answer to that is that you genuinely think it's going to happen, but where is that fear coming from? Because it cannot be coming from Ross's argumentation. It can't be coming from the actual initiative. So you're either fucking game coder brained out the fucking wazoo, or you're fucking lying. You're either stupid or you're lying. It's one of the two. It's one of the fucking two. Yeah, like I watched his videos and I never got the impression he wanted to turn multiplayer games into single player and no other solution will work. No, you're entirely correct, Alden. You're totally fucking right.
No. This one is particularly baffling to me because I've heard most counter arguments before, but until Thor, I've never heard this one. That we want the industry to convert all multiplayer games into single player ones. I keep saying it, you never know where gamers are gonna take this.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single player games.
Oh, he's so close. He's so close to getting it.
It is vague, and because of that, it will impact.
He never has that light bulb moment. Well, he is correct in that statement. It's almost as if that's not what the initiative is asking for. But those were his streams with a smaller audience. What does he say in his big YouTube video with over 1 million views that he had time to research?
If we're trying to kill off the practice of developers putting together a live service game, pitching it as a single-player experience.
Why'd you open it like that? If we're trying to kill, why'd you open it like that? Why'd you say it like that? Where is that conflation coming from? Listen to your fucking words, dog. Where is that coming from? What part about any part of this initiative made that initial opening fucking statement a priority? Where is this coming from? Open your fucking mouth and speak on your fucking business. Act like you got some goddamn motherfucking sense about this shit. Talk this shit out. Engage with it in good faith. Where is it coming from? Stop spewing this shit out and acting like this shit's just gonna keep like, no. Answer that fucking question.
And then taking away support in the future.
Now he's changed it again. And
Thor should have went back over the video a few more times, and if he still thought there were unforeseen problems, should have messaged Ross for clarification. He didn't want to. That's the problem. No, that's the problem in all of this. It's the bad faith. You can't be saying this shit with the platform that you have and refuse to engage with it further. That's the core problem here, is that you don't want to be corrected. Your ego's too fucking fat, nigga. That's the problem. That's the problem. I think what kills Thor's point is that when you come through, it doesn't come off as criticism of the project. It came off as fear-mongering. Exactly. It came off as though Ross is trying to create a direct ooga-booga-ass threat. That's the problem. If you were saying you were concerned about these things, from a genuine standpoint, from a genuine point of argumentation, you would have something to bounce off of, but you don't. As far as everybody is concerned, this shit came out of fucking nowhere in terms of the points you're making, so where is this coming from?
it's making up how it's about single-player games are advertised. What is he doing?
It needs to be specific about the business practice it's trying to defeat, which is specifically companies that are doing this under the guise of it being a single-player game, but adding online-only functionality that is not necessary and doesn't add any gameplay elements. That's the problem.
No, that's not it at all.
And there are some people that'll say, well, just make it all single-player.
Like
well,
you?
I've explained that doesn't make any sense in the first place. If you're making it all single-player, you'd have to carve off all of that, and it's developer time and money. These are two different ideologies, and that's okay to have two different ideologies. I just won't agree with it.
But those aren't the ideologies. Nothing in the initiative is asking to convert games to single-player.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single-player games.
Yeah, so why does he keep bringing it up? This is a total red herring.
If we don't like the idea of live service games as a whole, I get it. Don't play live service games then. Don't agree to those terms.
No, he's getting a new thing wrong now. We're not against them existing. We're against them being destroyed with no recourse for the customer.
Going on YouTube, half-cocked, spouting off bag argument is making pretty clear that he has a totally self-centered agenda. It has to be. It literally has to be at this point. That's the part that makes me so mad, is that, like, if it'd be one thing so entirely different if he were actually trying to have a conversation and make his points. He does not want to do that. He wants to stay where he's at and just spew off this shit to protect something. I don't know what, but it's not coming from a place of an actual authentic engagement with the problem, and that's the core fucking issue. Is he a narcissist? I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed psychologist. I cannot make such claims. However,
just use logic. If we didn't like them in the first place, why would we care if they're being destroyed? He says he gets it, but he doesn't.
Let's talk about the actual bad business practices. In the case that a studio is making a live service game and they sell it to you as a product, they say that you are purchasing the game or you are buying the game, when in reality you're actually purchasing or buying a license to that game. I think that we should be fighting about that. The initiative is not trying to call that out specifically. It's trying to say that all games need to stay in a functional, playable state.
Yes!
Which is not calling out the language that is being used to manipulate the player. Call that out specifically.
Okay, I don't...
run that back.
Need to stay in a functional. In reality, you're actually purchasing or buying a license to that game. I think that we should be fighting about that. The initiative is not trying to call that out specifically. It's trying to say that all games need to stay in a functional, playable state.
Yes!
Which is not calling out the language that is being used to manipulate the player.
Why would he need to? Why would he need to? That's not the purpose. Don't tell him what he can and can't fucking advocate for. That's not his problem. His problem is the broader spectrum. You're reducing the fucking argument. Why are you doing that? Where is your investment in doing that? What is the point of that? I say this jokingly, but of course he's a narc. It came free with his previous employment from Blizzard. Yeah, pretty much. That's probably it.
Call that out specifically.
That's what I've heard going around, but I've seen a clip of him saying he knows how to manipulate people to get money, if I remember correctly. Honestly, that's probably the biggest evidence out there. Real shit. Like, narcissists broadly are notorious for kind of specifically, like, they'll let themselves slip. Like, they'll say they can't help but expose themselves, and they'll say straight up that, like, oh yeah, case in point, American example, I can walk in the middle of the street and kick a fucking baby and everybody will cheer me on, type shit. Who said that, chat? Or something along those lines. Y'all get what I mean. But like, there are certain patterns to narcissistic behavior that, in retrospect, in looking at this, I won't lie, some of that shit do match up. I don't want to theorize on that too heavily because I don't think it matters to the initiative, but I will say, it's concerning how mask off this nigga's kind of being now. It really is. It's clearly trying to get ahead of something. What that is, I don't know, but something's going on. Thor doesn't want to be honest and upfront about what his purpose is. Absolutely true.
Okay, I don't know if he's doing this intentionally. I'll be charitable and assume he's not. But this is some serious obfuscation. He's complaining that the initiative isn't focused on another topic he made up. I mean, what is that logic? Hey, the initiative doesn't address how Capcom changed the look of Dante in the Devil May Cry reboot either. That may as well be what he's saying there. I am not aware of a game on the planet with a license agreement that says you are not buying.
I love the poorly educated, the most powerful narcissist in the world. Very true. And that's the thing too, right? And this is another angle that I have always tried to at least tangentially address directly since I started streaming seriously, right? Because as someone, again, as someone with a background in psychology, as someone that pays attention very closely to the nature of parasocial relationships very, very strictly, very carefully, I understand how much influence I have at all times, okay? So does Thor, so do most people that have a platform of an especially large size. They understand how people respond. They understand what people do. They understand what people say. And one of my main objectives has been to be transparent about what I want my relationship with the stream to be, about what I want my messaging to be, how I want to interact with the people that choose to interact with me, right? Because this shit is dangerous. There may very realistically come a point where there's already been points already where I have been told directly that me, with my small audience, with my small voice, has impacted people positively in XYZ way, shape, or form. And that's something that I take very seriously. There are people here where maybe not no matter what, but but there are people here who, in spite of me being very insistent about things like money, for example, like, please don't give me money unless you can, or XYZ, like, people will still support me anyway, despite me saying XYZ about it, positive or negative, accepting or denying it. It's such a constant fucking thing. Kato Arigato right here. When I lurk here, you make me laugh on my lowest days, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you too, Kato. And this shit is important, man. This shit's fucking... We live in an age where any fucking moron, including myself, can sit on a fucking screen, be in your fucking television, and have the absolute bully pulpit. I can say whatever the fuck and have influence over whatever the fuck. And if this shit spreads enough, it's going to spread to so many people to where it actually might cause problems that I could never fucking predict. Or it might cause good things that I can never fucking predict. No matter who you are, no matter what you're fucking doing, this shit fucking matters. You cannot ignore the massive amount of influence that somebody had just by spitting into a fucking microphone. You can never fucking do that. You should always be taking responsibility for that and the consequences that follow, fucking period. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're quiet. I don't care if you're quiet as a fucking mouse. Somebody's tuning on to your fucking screen. And for this man, not Ross, but Thor, to disregard the sanctity of that, the magnitude of that, and not as broadly as he is now, but then to also be saying shit like just actively, I know how to manipulate people, that says a lot. Because here's the thing, right? As somebody in a similar position, I understand that from a fundamental, like from a logical level, there are people that are sitting people behind their fucking streams that are manually trying to navigate the way they produce it or the way that they talk or practice the way that they talk so that they can capitalize on that and push that effect further. There are people that are not only aware of how much influence they have to manipulate people, whether they intend to or not, but there are people that want to massively expand on that. There are people that their sole goal in doing this is to control, is to use y'all as fucking personal little fucking ATM machines type shit. And they will tell it to your face. And that shit is fucking dangerous. And I want people to know about how dangerous that shit is. Okay? I've been deeply invested in streamers when I was younger. I've donated to people. I care about content like that. But I've also been burnt so many times by content creators and people that I've respected that I wanted to be like, who were scummy as fuck the entire time, and you didn't find out about it until later. But when you look back retroactively, they were always kind of fucking weird. They were always saying weird shit like this. They always had some kind of knowledge about, you know, how many people were talking about them, were hyping them up, were giving them money, whatever the case is. And they're like, and rather than see that as a privilege, rather than see that as a fucking responsibility, they see that as a check. They see that as a, oh, damn, oh, this shit nice. Let me try to make this shit fucking better for myself. Let me try to just drain people. Let me try to just lead people to do something that I want them to do without they fucking knowledge. Cause now I'm at the top. Now I pull the triggers. Now I press the buttons. Fuck all these niggas, man.
A license. Our problem is not with licenses failing to inform people. Blizzard says they can take away your purchase for no reason. That sounds pretty clear to me. Our problem is those terms are so hostile to consumers and the medium that they should be taken off the table entirely. This needs regulation. Forget video games. If you look at basic commerce for hundreds of years, when you paid money, you either got to keep what you paid for, or if it was a service, you were told when your access ends. The vast majority of online-only games do neither of those. The games industry is trying to upend basic commerce. I think you have to go back to feudalism before neither of those things are true. Why even have consumer laws if you have no rights?
If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, then no one's going to run them.
Oh no! He wheeled out that line about publishers having to support the game forever. He was literally watching the video earlier where it says it won't do that in big letters. That wasn't enough. We just can't stop gamers from going there, even when we spell it out.
Being very good faith. Being enormously good faith by attributing that to gamers and not him specifically there. Enormously fucking good faith. Lose morals, sink lives. Very true. Makes sense how we know how to manip after all his job at Blizzard was to manipulate people so we didn't fall from it from consumers or his job. Cybersecurity, people, programmers, coders. Yeah, true. Yeah, no, he definitely, his job in Blizzard was specifically to manipulate people. Like, through, like, the phones and shit. And here's the thing, too, right? Here's the thing, too. In certain circumstances, I don't want to claim to be the judge or arbiter of which circumstances are appropriate for this, but I do think that there is value in having somebody that has the skills to manipulate and get people to follow certain sets of. It's like a training you might see in, like, I don't know, maybe something like military or something like some sort of enforcement or case in point, right? Let's take a simple one. For doctors, right? For doctors across the world, they take the Hippocratic Oath, which is to do no harm. To require an entire career path, right? Where you're dedicating time, energy, money, literal blood, sweat, tears, trying to figure out how to get the human body to work in a state of disrepair. If you're in that career and you're in that line of study and you reach the point where you get your fucking white coat and it's time for you to take the Hippocratic Oath that says, first, do no harm, and to declare when someone else is doing harm to others, right? All institutions that require you to that allow you to become a doctor require you to take that oath. Is that institution that requires you to take that oath not manipulating you to a certain extent in some way to be in a state of mind such that you are now forced from a moral angle to not deny care to patients who, by all intents and purposes, may not deserve it, right? Like, I feel like there is a certain value in imposing certain forms of manipulation so that we can have reliable services that help people, that benefit the broader public. There's a whole fucking spiel I can go on with this. I've actually never thought I'd bring this point up, like, verbally before. I'm actually glad I'm bringing it up now. It's really important. But, like, that system works so good that even if fucking Adolf fucking Hitler walks into a hospital in 2025 with no health care when he's got a bullet in his neck, you may hate the nigga. He's going to get that bullet removed because that doctor is a real ass nigga. you can see what I mean? Like, there are certain ways this shit goes about where it's like you can't just say this shit brazenly and expect it to not be question marks over niggas' heads. Like how do you have the confidence to do this shit so brazenly? Thor took trying to tear down Stop Killing Games instead of reflecting how gamers in this industry could benefit from the initiative says a lot, because it's obvious he isn't stupid. That's the thing. I don't think he's stupid. I don't think he's that dumb. I think this is just him trying to fuck with niggas' heads and just throw this shit on. It's some type of mudslinging. It has to be. Nothing else is logical, and the reason why this nigga is liked is because everything about him seems logical. At least seems it. Maybe he's faking, I don't know. But, I feel like a logically minded person would not be coming to these conclusions this consistently.
I admit, guys, this part hurts. To see the biggest voice on this issue get it wrong again and again and again, then put that same wrong information on blast to a far bigger audience than we can reach.
As I've had to learn from ChatGPT, things that sound and not necessarily sound. Very true.
It hurts. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what we're asking for.
He might.
Now, to be fair, it sounded like he was getting a little closer in this video. Yeah, despite being called 2, it's at least the 4th video he did on this.
You want that to stay in a functional playable state, that means the devs have to release either server binaries or somehow carve off the game to be a single-player experience now.
Now, that's another thing, too, is that, like, the fact that he is bringing up the specifics as, not the hyper-specifics, but, like, he is providing some degree of a counter-argument in sort of bringing up the means and what is necessary to facilitate that kind of thing in theory to sustain single-player online servers with binaries or whatever. Like, it sounds like it would be like him actually bringing up the argument, like, fairly, I guess, but it's still not enough. Just because something sounds logical doesn't mean they're right, and people need to fucking learn that because the world has too many Thors. This is very true. This is very true. This is very fucking true.
That's better.
And I'm constantly checking myself with that, because that's the time when I'm talking up here, when I'm on my stream, I get paranoid, because I used to, especially early on, one of my biggest, like, fears was that I'd go on this and then I'd be so fucking verbose and I'd talk too much and I'd lose track of my points all the time that nobody would understand what I'm saying. And I've been so fearful of that being a consistent problem. And now it's like, oh, okay, I think I have faith in people being able to follow what I say now. I feel more confident in that. But, you know, at least that's something that I check constantly. And other people just talk out their ass.
But he's still talking about converting the single player right to the end.
Also,
he never completely got it.
Hold on. Hold on.
So Pirate Software did not understand the initiative. Maybe still doesn't. That means the majority of his critique is about things it would not do, like kill all MMOs.
If that passes, enjoy never playing.
While we're handling business, an
MMO.
We do not follow. We just brainlessly nod to everything you say. You know what? I appreciate your honesty. You shouldn't do that, but if you're here to stay, fuck it. Oh, God. Woo!
Again for the rest of your life. And taking away from every other person that plays MMOs.
It really wouldn't. And I've explained why in that video, but the short version is companies would have to stop liking money
Good luck,
for
Alden.
that to happen. Lots of money. But his number one criticism is that he thinks the initiative is vague.
Incredibly vague. Too vague. Very vague. Damn vague. It's vague. It's vague. That is vague. Too vague. Vaguely written. Vague. Incredibly vague. Vaguely worded. Vague. 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 This is vague.
This goes on. Well, from Thor's perspective, his logic is pretty sound for this part. But the thing about logic is it's only as good as your assumed truths. And he's said multiple times now that he thinks the initiative is only about single-player games.
As an MMO player, Thor is spewing top-tier bull.
So since he's expecting the thing he made up, but that's not what the initiative is asking for, he thinks it's vague.
I get the vague feeling that Thor likes the word vague. We should make a fucking meme out of that.
Because for him, it is.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single player games. It is vague.
Yeah, in fact, if
It was
we look
never
at that
meant
long
to.
definition again, let's add a subsection just for
That's the big issue. It's not even about it being vague or not being what it has nothing to do with it being vague. It is just explicitly that is not what was being argued. You are completely fucking strawmanning here. That is not being argued.
single-player games with an online DRM check. Those would already fall under this broader category. So Thor is
Right up there with
expecting
that
this.
sound.
Again, I don't know why.
Maybe I'll do that.
Instead,
I have a
he's
Steam Deck
seeing
now.
an
I can do
initiative
that.
That covers all of this. That's why he calls it vague 50 times. The thought that we want what we're asking for and not the thing he made up seems to have never entered his head. The initiative is trying to stop the destruction of games. That's the whole point. It covers the types of games most in need of saving. If we only covered this tiny subsection, that would save maybe 1% or less of games that get destroyed. This would do almost nothing. I'm not saying there isn't one, but I literally can't think of a game that meets this criteria. Every game I know of with single-player content that's been destroyed has been designed to run server-side, not locally. Older ones like that tend to have the DRM cracked, which is not an ideal solution, but that does stop game destruction. And newer ones with the Nouveau or something tend to have it removed by end of life. So I say less than 1%, but this might save 0% of games. I'm not sure. The initiative is actually not that vague. Though to be fair, some people did get hung up on this part. A reasonably playable or functional state. True, that
Now
is
that
not
is vague.
100% specific. There are reasons for that. You know how in law, police can stop a suspect with reasonable suspicion? Or a jury finds someone guilty beyond all reasonable doubt? That's because the number of situations you face are so varied that the law has to inject some common sense somewhere.
Yes.
It's the same with games.
Yes.
A multi-million-dollar MMO is a different animal from a budget arena shooter. It won't work making highly specific laws.
Absolutely.
That's one half of it. The other half of it is this sentence is an olive branch to publishers.
Yes!
I've heard complaints this isn't specific enough. Okay, but you know what the alternative to this would be? Here, I'll show you. The game must be fully functional and contain 100% of all features as advertised.
That's the thing. He's throwing these niggas a bone. He's throwing these niggas a bone, bro. Like, he's putting it in the developer's hands. Okay, we don't want you to do anything, you know, that's gonna bankrupt you or some shit, but we need this game to run. Do it within your means. Don't exceed them. Don't break your back. Don't bankrupt yourselves, but help us help you so that way we can all be fucking happier. That's what that line is. This is exactly what it's like engaging with conservatives / right-wingers, them arguing with you about things they made up about your position that have nothing to do about what you said or indicated. That's why it's not worth arguing with them anymore, dude. When I first started, like before I even had my name finalized as Arbitrary, there was a point where I wanted really badly to enter the political space because I felt like the best way for me to improve my speaking and get my points out would be to argue, because then I could learn from the arguments that I failed against. But the thing that I learned before, and the reason why I decided not to commit to that, is that they don't make arguments. They don't care, and they've only cared less since before I started doing this. Like, there's no, it is beyond banging your head against a brick wall. It is like fucking attempting barrier skip in Wind Waker on GameCube in 2006. You fly up against the thing. There's like a bajillion fucking fail-safes that keep you from crossing that fucking barrier. You can't cross not one of them, nigga. It doesn't care. Barrier don't like you, bitch. You ain't getting through. It's not happening. It's not fucking happening.
What requirement would you rather meet? More importantly, this sentence shows the EU Commission that we're acting in good faith and trying to find a balance. I think some of the people asking for this to be more specific may not realize what they're asking for. I know some won't believe this, but a hell of a lot of thought went into the wording of the initiative. I think it's almost perfect. See, the initiative isn't even a proposed bill, it's a negotiation. Our side says we want games to be functional when publishers end support, so they need end-of-life plans. The industry's position is going to be against whatever we write and claim they need no regulation whatsoever. Then the EU Commission gets to decide who is more in the right here. The Citizens Initiative is the opening offer in these negotiations. Trust me, the industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars will make its position known to the EU. We don't have to make their case for them.
Yes! The fact, first of all, the fact that the EU even has a system like this where you can utilize, like get a mandate through a petition and have that be the start of a conversation between the executives and the people is such a fucking privilege that by comparison, at least in the US, that we don't fucking have at all. Like, and it's uniquely powerful because in the game industry specifically, because it's so international and so ingrained, if this shit goes through in the EU, it'll grandfather into everything else. The EU is too big. They probably could section off some of the ways their game operates so that way they can follow regulations in the EU and then switch some shit up in the publication of the game so that way they can do something arguably less consumer friendly in the US, but they're not going to do that. It's too inefficient. If this succeeds in the EU, shit applies to everybody in the world. It's that fucking valuable, and y'all can get that shit off a petition. What do we got to do in the States? Suffer. A lot.
So for this negotiation, simple is good. That's why we're straight and to the point for what we want. Then the industry will argue against that. Then the EU Commission might look for compromises. You don't start a negotiation with a bunch of compromises because then it will get so watered down you won't save anything. Oh, and that long definition list are actually logical extensions of the simpler language used in the initiative. It's actually kind of slick. Plus, there's a character limit on these things. The EU Commission doesn't want you trying to cover 50 edge cases at this phase. All right, so Pirate Software did not understand the initiative. But point two, he also did not make it easy for the truth to get out. I had never heard of him prior to all this, but during the campaign, I had dozens of people contacting me, telling me how wise and reasonable he is, how he's really pro-consumer and represents developers, and I should really talk to him. Great, let's do it. So this was my first encounter of him.
Oh shit, now this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction. That's awful, dude. Now, eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid ass move.
What the hell? Dude, don't even get me started on this, because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, right? Y'all hear how I talk, right? Y'all heard how I just talked about Thor not 10 minutes ago. I have no issue with the way I say something being maybe rude, maybe it's a bit abrasive, maybe I call somebody a fucking bitch ass nigga. I don't care, right? We are in a unique space in the world of streaming and having a platform like that, where it's not as formal as live news television. It's not as formal as a newspaper. It's not as formal as being an executive in an office giving a public speech to a bajillion people in your firm and having to be like, we disapprove of this informal speech. You can say something like "eat my whole ass," right? And it won't be Emily. Oh! I'm so glad you're here. You can say shit like that, right? 90% of the time and be perfectly okay. Here's my issue, right? You don't have the right to say it if you're not fucking correct. That's the issue. The problem is that you did not engage with this shit at all. You rolled up on this nigga and started spewing this shit off the least engaged impressions you could possibly have, endlessly fucking relentlessly retarded over this shit. Pardon my fucking French. Just absolute refusal to engage with this shit at the most basic levels, spewing shit off wrong from Jump Street when you were demonstrating this shit to tens of thousands of people live on fucking camera. And you got the nerve to say this shit in this way when you don't know shit fucking about it and refuse to engage with it in a way where you can learn about it even ever so fucking slightly, broadcasting it to your whole fucking audience. You're already in the wrong. You got the nerve to say this shit in this way, so confidently incorrect. It's one thing to be incorrect and to say shit reckless and to back off later. It's one thing to be correct and to say shit like whatever. It's another thing entirely to spew shit that's wrong and to spew shit that's wrong with confidence as though you can do no goddamn motherfucking wrong yourself. That is an entirely different thing. And I'm not baffled. And that's the thing. I want to focus on this point specifically because I'm not people see this and they see well, you know what? At this point I'm going so far to try and make this, because I'm digging in on this nigga. I truly hate him now. But I'm going in on this in such a way where I'm trying to be, even still, as charitable as I can be. Because I'm trying to engage with it as like a fair, like, back and forth. I don't want people to see this VOD later and act like I'm tripping out. I want people to understand that this shit's actually fucked up. But, genuinely, dude's that fucking dumb, man. Dude's that fucking dumb, man. Oh my god. He refuses to engage. Pirate Software as if FQC had a job at Blizzard. Oh my god. He refuses to engage because he knows he'll have to double down if he does. Because he feels like he can't be seen as being wrong ever. And that's a damn shame because, like, I'd have no problem if he were wrong and he just engaged with it honestly. I'd be okay with that. It could have been a learning arc. Hey, we all learn together. Let's save some games. It could have been that. It could have been that. No. Let's get that shit to 2 mil just to really hammer it in. God, I hope so. The whole thing with Dr. K showcases Shattered It. I watched that not knowing it was coming, not knowing any drama that was going on with him. And I had a lot better faith during that even in, his ability to engage. Like, I felt like Dr. K was able to very cleanly point out exactly the nature of the disconnect between Thor and his fans and him in that very conversation. And from there, you know, the way they were talking and with how much of a G that Dr. K is, I figured that, okay, you know, Thor fucked up here, but maybe it gave him something to think about. I don't know. I didn't think he'd double down this fucking hard. And if this is the pattern, it's not going to change anytime soon.
That's an incredibly stupid ass move. I think this is ass.
Be wrong like an actual fucking person, right?
All of this can eat shit then. I dropped the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. That sounds stupid as shit.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. I can see why people like him.
Responding
it's like
to you.
listening to Mr. Rogers. As you...
Now, I'm going to be upfront. I have slight narc tendencies, especially in the past, and I just tended to refuse accountability for things I fucked up and would sometimes just straight up lie to save face. But you feel that shit in your mind. How is Thor not listening to that inner voice? Going, no, that's wrong. Max, I genuinely, wholeheartedly appreciate your honesty in saying that, because that opens up such a perspective into this shit that people do not understand enough, do not talk about, and needs to be a part of this broader fucking conversation in the zeitgeist. As someone that cares about psych problems specifically, right? We throw the term narcissist is such a buzzword at present, has been for maybe the past 2 or 3 years, and we talk about the signs to look out for and how bad it is, but we don't talk about that inner part. We don't talk about the part that actually makes it bad, in that it is a person who, generally speaking, does have that issue where they refuse to take accountability when it matters most, but that part about that inner voice being there doesn't get talked about as much. And that's important, because that inner voice, for a lot of people, especially people that have it really, really bad, is the potential for it to get better. That is solidly what it is. And getting people to release their fears of that and become comfortable with potentially being wrong because, oh, God forbid I be a fucking human, is the step in the right direction to get people to, you know, be able to heal in ways such that those tendencies are not as big of a problem. But the unique problem with that disorder, or that type of behavior, is that struggle with the inner voice. But you would think having a platform this huge and displaying yourself as humbly as you have, as creating this humble persona that you have, that everybody's under the impression of as genuine, you would think that there'd be willingness to engage with that, but there's none on his part. Thor has no interest in correcting that part about himself. Absolute fucking zero.
You can imagine, we've been less than thrilled that Thor here has become the dominant voice of the campaign, especially when he doesn't understand it. Though I did find the used car salesman part amusing, since if people could read my mind, they would understand how much I dread.
And yes, it's not an excuse,
resembling
Max.
Sales or marketing, or just trying to push things on people who aren't interested in them. I'm not exaggerating when I said I've hated having to run this campaign.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
This is the most uneducated take I have ever seen in games.
Now, as for that one,
Okay. How was your month off? Largely busy. It ended with a nice vacation to Florida before, you know, it falls off the state, off the country. It was very nice. I'm still recovering. As soon as I got back, I got hit with a fucking busy spell, man. I will never be free. I will never be free, but I'm here.
when I do have a bachelor's in criminal justice, which might explain why I'm coming at this from very different angles than he is. You know, focusing on people having rights and checking what consumer law actually says rather than what's most convenient for publishers. Though I think I know where that comment is coming from because I've gotten it before. Here's what I think is happening. Online-only games have a client and
BBB got passed, by the way, and it's unfortunately not big booty bitches, man. Man. Unfortunate Indeed. Unfortunate indeed.
A server, but a lot also have middleware.
Oh, wait, it got back to the House and it passed? I know it passed in the Senate a couple days ago. Did it pass the House today? Is that what happened? It passed in the House. Fuck me.
Developers don't have permission to distribute to customers or depend on microservices they have no control over. And the server software isn't even designed to run on a customer system.
Time to move the
can't
balls
just
in your Ayo Alden.
cut out the middleware and remove the microservices because they're integrated too deeply. That would still leave the game bricked and could take months to fix.
Hope you don't need health care. I already don't have it. I haven't had health insurance in like 2 years almost now. I have a chance to get it if I go full-time at my job, but I don't want to do that because I already barely have any time to do this. This is kind of my priority, not the job. So for this to be my priority and to me to keep taking months off to not be able to do this shit, you can tell how busy I am. Holy fuck.
It can be a lot of work.
And it's about to get worse.
Some devs think we're saying all they need to do is just release the server binaries at end of life, and yay, everything is solved. And that's why they think we're ignorant. Well, for some...
Don't want to make a tangent, but have I heard about Alligator Alcatraz? As someone that was just down in that fucking state for 10 days, I don't want to talk about it right now. Maybe another day. I don't want to talk about it right now, Zenith.
Some games that could work.
I'm sad, man. Fuck.
Plus, that's not what we're saying. First off, we're not even mandating the methodology because, again, doing that could run afoul of copyright law. Second, this whole diagram is
No, but I've heard of interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie.
looking at a game that exists right now.
All right, I'm done. We gotta
was
focus.
never designed to have
We
an
gotta
end-of-life
focus.
plan. Those might not be salvageable. So what we're saying is let's take a game in the future. No code has been written yet. It's still just a design document. Okay, so we have the client portion as usual. Then we have the server logic. Now we'll bring in our usual middleware and microservice vendors. Nope, stop. Now the EU says we can't just brick customer purchases like we've been doing if we want to sell our games there. So that means we can't keep making all these same deals the way we have been. Now we need to renegotiate with the vendors to allow for an end-of-life build with their software. Or redesign things to make the microservices easier to sever at end of life. And vendors probably will renegotiate. Otherwise, they'll start losing sales to everyone who wants to sell games in the EU. But say a vendor refuses anyway. Then we need to go with vendor B, who will offer EU-compliant solutions because they will be happy to take money away from their competitor.
I'm too
Vendor
tired for
A.
this shit. It's almost
Or maybe
over.
we need to
Or this
abandon
section,
one of the
anyway.
microservices altogether and come up with an in-house alternative that is compatible with an end-of-life.
This part is actually kind of
First,
specific. I might
customer
skip through this a little bit.
Like, that video made me actually mad.
Campaign have been when I try to explain this is what we're asking for.
Okay, so yeah, the main gist of this is that he's trying to illustrate how, how there would be allowed a certain degree of flexibility in the way the services or the servers would need to be restructured in the event that publishers are mandated by law to restore certain server functionality. It may still take them time, but it wouldn't necessitate that they dedicate the full amount of resources that they would to maintaining live servers or whatever the case is. Like it would allow them to restructure it in a way that is appropriate to the modern times based on their current plans. That's all he's trying to say. It's been a fucking day. I hope you're doing all right, man. It's been a while. I know. It's always hard for you to get some rest, man. I hope you're doing okay. It's good to see you. I'm really glad to see you. And I'm really glad to see everybody in here, man. It's been
This part in particular triggers some people to know
a very throat impacting stream. Dear God.
when.
That video made me
Your grandpa passed away? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I remember you talking about that being a concern a while back. Fucking A, man. I'm sorry. I hope you're doing okay. Or at least as best as you can. Fucking A, man. It is what it is, I know. Sorry for your loss. That sucks.
actually mad. Like real mad. Not like fake memes mad, like actually mad. Like I'm actually mad.
Upsetting people is not our goal, by the way. We actually want this transition to be as easy as possible for publishers and developers. However, we are stubbornly against proposals that won't stop commercial games being destroyed, because that's the whole point. Anyway, you heard Thor's comments for me. In light of that, I think I've been pretty diplomatic. I am just trying to get this initiative passed. If that means I have to get insulted all along the way, okay. So with that in mind, I reached out to him, not expecting to change his mind, but to at least clarify things since he got so much wrong. If you're gonna hate us, at least hate us for what we're actually doing, not for things that are made up about us.
I got a message from Ross. There were many other misunderstandings in your video. It's clear that you hate the initiative, and I doubt I would change that. That is correct. I would encourage you to at least hate it for what it accurately is. I do.
He says that so confidently.
Case in
Oh
point.
yeah, you knocked it out of the park. You understood everything.
In other words, the customer is told explicitly that their access ends at the time of payment. Most live service games do not do this, which could run afoul of EU law. Most is
The understander,
patently
right?
incorrect.
Patently incorrect. Okay, for those who don't know much about live service games, that's like saying the Earth isn't round. He says verifiably false things so confidently. If his viewers don't know any better, how
God,
can
I
I
hate
blame
him so much.
anyone
This
for
nigga's-
believing what he says about the
This
initiative?
nigga's absurdly smug. It is actually. I've only seen smugness of this caliber very rarely, and when I have, it's tended to coincide with like genuinely like just barely south of the evil line of like how dark a person's personality can be.
Shit,
Like
when
it's
he talks
actually
like
so
that.
bad.
It's incredible. And he does not wish to discuss this with me or anyone else in the initiative. Why not?
Would you consider reaching out and talking to Ross about it? No. And the reason why is because I found his entire statement over the YouTube incredibly disingenuous.
Yes, this issue, which is
Now, so that's obviously him just saving face for being like kind of a pussy there. Not even kind of, because nothing about that. There has not been a single communication I've seen from Ross from any angle, from any chat, from any platform, from any email, from any fucking anything that I can say comes off as disingenuous. Like there's nothing. Like this dude has been remarkably transparent. Like at that point, it's just what's the word? What's the fucking word? Projection. It's just projection. That has to be projection, dog. You have to be bullshitting if you're jumping at that gun this hard, man. I used to compare Thor and Prime Agent and Theo/T3. They all have this sort of condescending tone to them, but Thor is so much worse than the other two. I never even took Thor's tone as condescending for the longest time. I took it as something more authoritative, which is not necessarily equal. I took it as just saying the direct thing and not allowing much opportunity outside of what you're saying to filter in, which is authoritative, and you know, it doesn't allow much in terms of healthy conflict. But I figured condescending would be, you're wrong, you're bad, you're fucking up, you're not doing this, do. It was all you. And from how he's talked before, I never picked up on too much of that, but now he's doing it.
bothered me since I was a teenager, and I've spent 10 years on trying to push back
Asmongold.
is me being disingenuous.
Fucking collab. That
Where
would
is
be
this
funny.
coming from? Well, it comes from a slide I had in my promotional video, the half-joke slide. He hated this, and I think he may have a rather privileged view of politics.
You want to put together legislation because it's the right thing to do,
We did!
not because you can convince legal representatives to do it no matter what.
It's both! These are not mutually exclusive things!
The idea that we're going to go through this because it's an easy win, but not the right win? No, dude.
Oh,
Saying the direct
God.
thing, that's a Dutch thing,
So
and the
he
Dutch are not like
misunderstood the
this.
initiative and
Can't
misunderstood
confirm.
our intentions. And in his words, this is why he refuses to have a dialogue with the movement. So now I have to address it.
The right thing to do is so fucking hilarious as well. Dog. Okay, so back to that for just like a second.
That we're gonna go convince legal representatives to do it.
Hold
A
on.
privileged view.
I want to hear exactly what it said on that.
You want to put together legislation because it's the right thing to do,
We did.
not because you can convince legal representatives to do it no matter what.
It's both. These are not mutually exclusive things.
The idea that we're going to go through this because it's an easy win, but not the right win? No, dude.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no,
that
is just not how fucking politics works, dog. That is just not how it works. And I'm young. I'm a fucking gaming streamer. I'm not going to spend a whole tirade on how politics fucking works. But long story short, bureaucracy is a bitch. Shit takes time. Shit often takes too much time compared to the scale of the problem. And the bottom line is, in politics, if you have an opportunity to get something done and get it done right, you absolutely fucking take it. You take that opportunity and you push it forward. And when it's time to bend the fucking knee and back off, when the political climate is not such that you can make those pushes, you back off and you you fight for your next opportunity to do the same thing again. That's the whole fucking game. Waiting to do something the right way or waiting for somebody to like advocate for this in the right way. That's not how shit gets done. And that's not how people come to value useful fucking legislation. Like, that is not how it fucking gets done, dog. There is not a single issue of, well, I'll let him say. He says it's better than I do.
Understood the initiative and misunderstood our intentions. And in his words, this is why he refuses to have a dialogue with the movement. So now I have to address it. Let's keep it basic. He calls me disingenuous, implying I don't believe what I'm pushing for, that this is some sort of con.
Hang tight.
That's uncharitable to the point of being silly. Besides video evidence going back 10 years, this is not a hard concept to grasp. I hate seeing creative works needlessly destroyed when people are trying to save them. And video games are where I see that happen the most. Of course I believe in what I'm advocating for. Maybe start from there.
Yes.
I'm a little surprised that didn't sink in.
The idea of getting it to pass with an easy win instead of pass because it's good is a problem to me. Absolute problem.
That's not how politics works.
No.
Do you think things pass because they're good ideas?
Fuck no.
Tell that to people who still have lead in their water. A lot of gamers are jaded with good cause. The industry has been shaking them down every which way. The perception that it's hopeless to
see you in hell, you stupid fruit.
protect their rights against billion-dollar conglomerates is often correct. If I told people this would pass, just
people literally starved themselves, burnt entire cities down, and all they ended up actually getting was some rainbow-colored company logos. When you fight against authoritarian dickheads, trying to deprive you of your right to fucking exist, that fight never ends. So why do we have to wait for the fucking right thing? Precisely.
Because it's a good idea, I wouldn't believe me. This slide is a half joke, but it's also
please buy
some
the pen,
totally
it's enamel.
simple reasons that are often true to let
Thor got that white boy bias. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
people know we have a chance and this isn't utterly hopeless. Do you think I or most people...
Honestly, to that point, looking back at a lot of his streams in retrospect, because I've watched a lot of them back when he was like initially popping off, that would explain a decent chunk. I don't want to say that in like a way that's like trying to, you know what, fuck the fucking pretenses and defenses I keep giving this nigga, man. The signs were always there. You are absolutely correct. He's got the not the Pacific Northwest. No, you got a point.
Give a damn
You got a
why
point.
politicians-
I will say there's like a very rare flavor of that talks in similar ways that is still much more benevolent than this and get things done on very exceedingly rare occasion. He is not one of them.
might pass something good? What we care about is that they pass something good. We don't need them to be true believers. We need them to pass good law. This is as soft as it possibly gets in politics.
It's been 3 hours. How are you 40 minutes in? Because I'm a yapper.
I think most
Subscribe for more yap. Bitch. Anyway.
politicians would find this slide funny. It sounds like he's offended I have a low opinion of the political process.
Tier
I'm
3.
the one in the trenches here. I'm not sure if he's upset at me or just upset at reality. Yeah, I am too. Anyway, he went on to delete my reply to him. Thankfully, someone backed it up, and I figured, okay, he hates this. It was thrust upon him by his viewers. I'll just leave him be. Well, that was a mistake on my part, because then he went on to make more videos about me and the movement, now reaching over 1 million views, still broadcasting the wrong information on us. I guess I'm being petty here, but this is alien thinking to me.
That's a good word.
Why would you call someone out, then run away from a conversation with them when they say there's a misunderstanding, but then go on to make more videos calling them out?
It is pretty pussy shit.
Sir, that is not gentlemanly behavior.
No.
All right, I know this is going on too long, so I'll get to the final point. Thor misunderstood the initiative, misunderstood our intentions, and misinformed a lot of people about both. But the irony is, I think he would have hated it even more if he did understand it. Because first, he doesn't see any of this as a problem.
Gaming isn't in need of saving. No, it's not a form of planned obsolescence. It's called the game no longer being profitable and we turn it off. No games are being destroyed here. These are live service games.
The game is no longer being profitable. The time has come to turn it off. There's only one angle from which that perspective would be seen as like the primary angle to look at it from. Like, that is from the angle of the person getting the profit, right? That is not a consumer-centered argument. That is a profit and, like, exactly, spoken like a true fucking Blizzard employee, dog. Like, you exposed yourself with that fucking sentence. We're not, fuck the profits at this point. This is about principle. This is about ownership. This is about paying for something, getting something, and having that thing that you get not turn into a brick in your hand. Where the fuck is this coming from? Effective politics are hit and run, then hit harder when opportunity arises. You attack what is vulnerable and avoid what's guarded, eventually making the op open up their guard to it. Exactly. It's a big ass fucking. It's a huge fucking. And then you duck for like 7 years, and then you go, and then you duck again, and then you go, and then you get knocked up. And then that happens to you for like 30 years, and then a bunch of people die, and then bad things happen again and again and again and again and again, and then eventually people get sick of it, and then you punch really hard, and then you win. That's what politics is.
Yeah, you heard him. No games are being destroyed. Does he just say anything? Is that why he's popular? More to the point, and what I wish he included in his main video,
Yeah, I'm good.
is he supports games being destroyed.
A very strange demand from people in the gaming industry where live service
That was
games
fully
should live
scripted.
forever, whether in the hands of the developer or otherwise. And I can't get behind that shit. I think live service games getting sunsetted is fine. I've always thought that. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I have no problems with the end of a video game.
See, I wish he started his big YouTube video with that message instead of deleting it.
That could have been.
Instead, he presented
Much
himself
better.
as pro-preservation and not wanting the medium to die out.
It's incredibly important to me that we keep making games and that the next generation has the tools to do so that our medium doesn't die out. And it never will. And that's the whole intention of all of this.
So he doesn't want games to die out, except he's fine with that. I think there's some cognitive dissonance going on there.
Decent chunk.
And he's against killing single-player games that only have a DRM check, okay?
I think.
But then says people who buy single-player games with more than a DRM check are stupid, and he doesn't play those.
I don't buy games that are always online single player games. I refuse to play those because it's stupid.
That's some tough talk coming from a fan of Diablo 4.
It's actually really freaking good, dude. The game's fantastic. Itemization is great. Systems design is great. Storyline has been fantastic. The characters are good. The voice acting is great.
So is he saying he wouldn't have played Diablo 4's single-player campaign if it didn't have forced multiplayer also? Even though he's praising it and appears to be playing solo? Or is he saying that people that... Well, here's a list of some popular games that are all at risk of being destroyed at some time in the future. The Stop Killing Games movement sees any of these being destroyed as a problem, and they're exactly the kinds of games that would start being protected if the initiative passed. Now, a lot of these do have single-player campaigns, but I believe they all require more than a simple DRM check. He says over and over that his problem with the initiative is the wording, and it's vague. But there is no wording he would like that also saves games like these, because he's on the opposite side of this. If he's totally fine with games like these being disabled forever, well, guess what? That's the position of the industry causing this entire problem in the first place.
Okay, cool. So he does point it out specifically that he is literally taking the industry angle with it. Like it's not even about him just having a misinformed opinion that fills this weird niche that is like, you know, him dying on a particularly strange hill. He makes the connection. Like he's asserting like, dude, you're saying the thing that the publishers want. Like, are you sure you want to say that? And Thor just keeps on asserting again and again and again. Yes. So.
And that's the final point. Thor says he disagrees with how we're going about trying to end game destruction, but he also disagrees with the goal itself. No, wait, I want to be fair. He's only against 99% of it minus that tiny provision he made up. So once you understand that, then of course it makes sense that he's against the Stop Killing Games movement. Because we're trying to stop killing games. Now, if you're in Thor's camp and think killing all these games is fine and are as things should be, okay. Then it's just a values clash. And yeah, you'll hate the initiative too. I'm not trying to tell you otherwise. But if you think you might have been misled about what the initiative is, hey, maybe look at it again. Tell others about it. Help undo some of the damage. There is still time. It closes July 31st. Thor lying about what the campaign is about, remember, second definition, has caused more damage to it than anything else I'm aware of. Now, I've heard some people say, no, it caused a Streisand effect and led to more coverage. Well, if you look at the signature rate, it suggests the opposite. I've also been told a big...
It's funny how wrong he was on that. Like when I say I saw this when it was at about the signature number that was in its video, which was like 476 or something, I figured, you know, this might go on for another... I saw this and I figured, oh, well, this is a video for a good cause calling out a very, very big influencer that's going against it. I expected a Streisand effect, and I expected that it would take maybe the remainder of this month, like maybe 3-ish weeks to actually fully implement and, you know, escalate signatures. I did not think it would piss off this many people towards Thor and get the million today. That's actually batshit insane.
Extremer. Like in that group I mentioned earlier, you know, the kind that are so big they could end this, avoided talking about Stop Killing Games because of Thor's take on it. Remember, at the time he did this, Pirate Software was a well-respected developer looked up to by the internet community for having good takes on gaming. And I was, and still am, the weirdo with no credentials other than not wanting games destroyed. So with Thor being seen as the smartest guy in the room and firmly against the initiative, I think that led some internet figures to not want to touch this, lest they be seen like a fool in the eyes of Thor. Now, as I understand it, that risk may have lowered since then, but it doesn't really matter if nobody else talks about it, because he was there to kill the momentum when we needed it the most, and we never got it back.
Yeah, they're all talking about it now. And honestly, I'm a little bit upset about that, because I'm glad they're talking now, but they sure took their sweet-ass fucking time about it.
I did not enjoy having to do that segment, but I've had to do a lot of things on this campaign I don't like. Believe it or not, my goal was not to tarnish Thor's reputation. That's incidental. I don't care. He can be hailed as a national hero. Whatever. The goal was to expose the damage done to the campaign to try and fix it.
Yes.
I do think he's someone who would have defended the divine right of kings hundreds of years ago, but I don't wish him ill will. On the contrary, I hope he finds some peace of mind. Now you might be thinking, is this campaign really so fragile that one big streamer can sink it just by misrepresenting it? Oh, yeah, it totally is. It's been an uphill battle almost every step of the way. It sinks or swims to the whims of what big streamers do. It kind of reminds me of the Greek gods. That part about easy wins, that's for the politicians, not us. Ours are hard as nails. There are reasons it took me 9 years before I was ever able to actually do anything on this.
Yes.
It's a miracle it's gotten as far as it has. Now, I've seen people ask, if the initiative fails, then what's next? I've tried to explain this before. There is no next. What's next was 1.5 years ago with all those other things we've tried. We're at the final phase now.
All right, we can probably skip most of this. Well, actually, no. I will pick up here because I do want y'all to hear like how he expresses how finished he is with this, right? Not as a judgment, but as is like an indication of how much work he's already put in, right? And how I just have empathy for the dude. Like this shit. If this shit did not go through in the exact way that it has in this past week, and if I were in his shoes and I put in all this work only for it to be shut down by a dumbass like fucking Thor, I'd be devastated, bro. I'd be fucked up beyond belief.
31st. I have some skepticism, do far worse. Now that doesn't mean I'm being defeatist. I will continue saying yes to almost any opportunity that emerges until July 31st. I have some skepticism, but I am still available for Stop Killing Games until then. Though remember, you don't have to go through me at all. You just have to send people to the initiative. After that, no, I'm done. In fact, I think some people might be surprised just how done I am after July. It's not that I will have changed my mind on game destruction, it's that there's nothing left after that. So I don't want to waste even more of my life on this. I've paid my dues.
Indeed.
My income's dropped significantly since I started this because I haven't had time to make more fun videos which people would rather watch. And I don't blame them one bit. So besides being sick of running this thing, I have to make up for lost time so I can pay rent. Plus, believe it or not, I want time to actually play games and not just fight to keep them all the time. I'll still do.
Ross is stronger than most, especially the slander he got from this. Ross is stronger than most, not just because of the amount of slander that he's dealt with this, but because look at his attitude, man. Look at the way he's taking it. Look at how he's responding to it. It's not even about just like how the sheer volume. If the sheer volume is as high as it is, and this is how he sounds in terms of being exasperated, this doesn't sound like exasperation. You know, it's not just about the way he talks, but it's like, nigga, your first inkling is to continue trying. That's been your primary inkling this entire time. You are chugging along like crazy, dude. Case in point, right? As an example in my life, I have a job where I live far away from work. I live very far away from work. I drive basically an hour to get to work and an hour to get back 3 days a week. And prior to that, prior to my current situation, so I took this job when I was living in a different spot where I lived maybe 35 minutes away from it. I was a staff member. I made less money there. And, you know, this is a simple little fill-in job when I lived closer, so it felt more reasonable. Since then, I had a breakup. I moved out. I moved double the distance away. I had surrendered the job because I didn't know how I was going to commit to it while I was so far away. And then I tried to apply for jobs in my area. And I couldn't really find any that I knew I was going to like or feel remotely comfortable in, or that would pay me reasonably in the span of time that I needed. And I had urgent bills to pay, like fucking like court date type shit. Like, if you don't pay this, we will take your shit type shit to deal with, right? I was in very dire straits around a bit before this time last year. All that was going on in the background of the stream. And then things calmed down a little bit. I got more time on my hands, and I was able to contact my job and be like, hey, look, and I got my car back because I lost my car temporarily. And I contacted them and I said, hey, look, listen, can I have my old job back? And they said, absolutely, you left on good terms. So I got my job back. It was still paying me low, and I drove now from 35 minutes to an hour to get up there and back. Totally different drive, way more chaotic, all this shit. And I've kept that job since. And since then, I've gotten promoted. The money's a bit more reasonable. I go there a bit more often. It all makes a bit more sense money-wise, but I still have a really ridiculous commute, and I get comments all the time about, yeah, no, your commute's crazy. You know, we'll give you the space to do X, Y, Z. You're cool. If you need help, let us know. Like, I get a lot of support for that from my coworkers and sometimes my bosses. All that to say, there are people who occasionally sub in for me at that job. And they drive a fair distance too, maybe slightly less than me, maybe slightly more, but they come over to my spot on occasion and they'll cover for me. And they might do it maybe once or twice a month, you know, but because they're swapping in here and there, to them, because what they're used to in their own situations, because they do what I do, that's at other locations, they're like, damn, you know, I'd love the extra hours. I like working at this location here, but this commute's like kind of crazy. I don't know if I want to do all this driving anymore. And I was talking about that with my coworker in my like home territory like yesterday. And like, I couldn't help but keep a little chuckle in my heart because I was like, first time, nigga? Like, I was sitting there like, I do this like 4 days a week. I fucking eat those. And I feel like if I were to try to explain that, people, and whenever I try to explain that, people look at me like I am on crack. Genuinely, like, they look at me like, it's insane how you're climbing this mountain to get to work. You're so the guy. And I'm like, nigga, I'm just doing my job. Like, it's fine. That's the attitude he has. This dude is moving mountains for this industry right now. And he gives off the impression, he'll say clearly, I'm tired. This shit's hard. It's beating my ass. But his primary directive is to keep fucking trying. And that's why I respect this dude. Because until all options are exhausted, his mindset is not to quit. It is to continue moving forward to the best of his ability. And he has an accurate assessment of what the best of his ability is currently. And that is something that is remarkable, genuinely.
The bare minimum if it helps. For example, Germany's consumer
and he doesn't think
contacted me at one point because they wanted more information
not 100%.
on the cruise EULA for their investigation. So I assisted with that. That was surprising because I have no authority on that at all. And I would have thought they would have had better sources than me.
Okay, moving forward, I wanted him to say that. Moving forward, okay, I think that's about as much as we're going to get out of this video, right? I wanted to watch one more. I wanted to watch at least one more. There is the new update. I think I do want to watch that. I don't know if I want to watch that first. I want to watch the other one. Let's actually watch the new update first. This is the freshest thing. Let's see what's going on with the new update to the initiative, and I'll decide from there if I want to show the Lewis Rossman video or not. But let's watch this real quick. And then at the very least, I'm going to need to get a drink of water because I'm hurting my throat and I still have other things to do today. But let's see what's up.
I have some announcements on Stop Killing Games. And I'm going to be looking away a lot because my mind tends to go blank when I look into the camera, and I don't want to memorize this. Okay, the breaking...
Also, that's the normal. You said way earlier. If you're looking for just one big punch, any competent boxer will see through and make sure it never lands. Politics is very much the same. If you're trying to change everything in one fell swoop, the result will happen. If you're trying to change everything in one fell swoop, the result will happen. Do you mean as in it will try to be blocked, or if you find an opportunity to take that one fell swoop, that it will go through if you push it? How exactly do you mean that?
News. The European Citizens Initiative has crossed 1 million signatures. Except it hasn't. This is going to kill morale, but there are two things going on here. The first we knew was coming. Every time somebody makes a mistake when they sign the initiative, their signature gets invalidated. So that means we need more signatures to make up for everybody's mistakes.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me of multiplayer games when you see somebody who just has no idea what they're doing, like they're attacking a wall or something. So in this case, we need to pick up the slack for the people who literally can't write their own name properly. That could be a lot. I've heard 10% minimum, 20% is better, 40% should be really safe. Or it would be, but we have a second problem. I've received several reports of people claiming to spoof signatures on the initiative site. First off, I want to say that this is not a change.org petition. This is a government process. Spoofing signatures on it is a crime. Please do not do this. They'll be checked later by the EU Commission, and my guess is the fake ones will get turned over to Europol or Interpol, and they'll follow up on this. If it's coming from America, Interpol is known to cooperate a lot with the FBI. Now, will they prosecute people on this? I have no idea. Europe takes its political processes pretty seriously.
They do.
So I would think the more it's being spoofed, the more they might send law enforcement after people doing this.
I don't feel like it's being spoofed that much. It probably is genuinely being spoofed, but for 600,000 in a week, I don't think so. There might definitely be some notable cases there, but not enough to offset all of that traffic.
Again, I would not suggest doing this. It seems like a bad thing to risk going to prison over. But the problem here is I am now in a complete fog as to how much this affects the initiative. Now don't worry, none of this will invalidate the initiative. All legitimate signatures will still count. But that 1 million number, yeah, it might not be real. I think we have at least 600, 700,000 real signatures.
I'd guess it would be 8.
Beyond that, I don't know. Maybe it's just 1 or 2 people who tried it and this is nothing to worry about. Or maybe it's a sophisticated botnet spoofing hundreds of thousands of signatures. I have no clue. In fact, I noticed a few days ago, we were getting a good rise in the day European time, but then it would fall off a lot at night because people were going to bed. Now it seems like it's rising a lot through the night. So maybe most of this is an illusion now. We may not have won anything. I have to give credit where it's due.
He's playing very safe.
I was looking forward to reaching a safe margin and putting this behind me. But now I guess I have to keep this up until July 31st because now there's no such thing as a safe margin. I have no idea what's real now. So for people who hate the initiative, you got me. This makes my life harder and now I'm on the hook even longer. I will be so happy for this campaign to end. Actually, if you're really good at data analysis, I'd say try to look at those first couple days around June 24th and 25th, especially when Moist Critical dropped his video. I remember seeing about a 5% increase in signatures proportional to his views. So it might be safe to assume big YouTube views translate to 5% real signatures. Maybe you can figure out what our real margin needs to be.
Not flatly.
So yeah, that sucks. We'll just keep plodding away unless we can figure out what the safe numbers are. Sorry this isn't a big victory celebration. This is just kind of suspenseful and tense instead, and will probably hurt morale of people signing. You know how in World War II, the Japanese had soldiers entrenched in a bunch of Pacific islands? Except some of them never got the memo when the war ended in 1945, so they just stayed there for years, assuming the war was still on. That's kind of where I am right now mentally. At least it all ends in a month. Okay, another announcement.
It does not end in a month.
We've gotten reports that some countries, I think Italy and Belgium especially, where sometimes the digital ID system didn't work. In those cases, I'd say either use the manual method, which we have instructions for on stopkillinggames.com, or you could try coming back in a few days and see if it's working. Another news item, I've been told someone has launched a cryptocurrency based on Stop Killing Games.
The fuck?
Dumbest timeline, guys. Just so everyone's clear, that had nothing to do with us. I have no clue who would even want that. I'm sure it's a scam. So, yeah, that's all there is to it. Something else to cover quick is I've heard a couple reports of people harassing pirate software. I feel like this goes without saying, but if it doesn't, no. Of course we do not endorse harassing him. I mean, I said in my response video, I wished him no ill will, and I meant that. You know why? When people's lives are better, they tend to be less inclined to foment some sort of revenge. And I'm taking on enough heat already without adding to the pile. I mean, I'm getting some crazies heading my way too, though I can believe it's not as many. I also pointed out last time, whatever damage Thor did to the campaign has been neutralized. So whatever happens is not on him anymore.
Okay. Technically, he's not wrong in saying that. And I do want to respect that wish in terms of like withdrawing the attention from Thor, because at this point, you know, even if we're not technically meeting the threshold, Thor is like a nothing burger compared to this. Like, this momentum will carry on without him no matter what. However, it is the fact that if Thor were engaging in good faith or from a basis of actual fucking truth, there would not be this gray area in terms of crossing the threshold. The influence that could have been, and it boils down to an ultimate point of me saying like, well, yes, but if he did agree with you, and then it's going to come down to I'm judging him because he didn't agree with me. But my thing is, I don't care. I just don't. I just fucking don't. Right is right and wrong is fucking wrong, and this nigga was wrong as fuck, and he refuses to say. If he refused to engage with certain parts, maybe out of like actual fear or actually not wanting to engage because of a point like the other big YouTubers that backed off have been using, where, okay, well, I just don't want to back it because I don't have to back other shit or whatever, or I just don't want the responsibility, I don't want the clout, whatever the case is. If it was something like that, he could be more in a better position to make an argument like that. Instead, what this nigga is saying is, eat my entire ass, left cheek, and right. Don't forget the hole.
I'll also say, I don't know what the hell everyone is up to either. This is a lot bigger than me. I can barely keep up with the campaign, let alone him or all the supporters. We do have moderators in our Discord trying their best. I've literally seen them ban someone suggesting bad action against others. Beyond that, I know very little and have even less control over what the rest of the internet is up to. I'm focused on the signatures. If Thor and I never bother each other again, that is just fine by me. I also don't hold him responsible for anything his fanbase does. I'm not a fan of collective punishment. And on the flip side, Stop Killing Games is a populist movement. That's the very definition of messy. I can control that like I can control the weather. Oh, and speaking of barely keeping up, I've been having to play triage on emails and messages and prioritize the ones most critical for the campaign. So a lot of you are going to get a delayed response, but I should mostly catch up, eventually. Okay, the final announcement. The UK government petition has cleared 100,000 signatures. And I suspect these signatures are more legit.
Okay.
Though you can keep on signing it too as a safety margin. More will not hurt anything. So what should we expect from this? I honestly have no idea. I would bet money on the EU initiative delivering something good if it passes. But the UK has been more about exhausting all options. I will say whatever happens cannot be worse than the old answer from the Department of Media, Culture, and Sport. Yeah, we get to leapfrog over this garbage. This really is recycled garbage. Remember, we tried to launch this last year, and they gave us an answer that was so bad, it was rejected by the Petitions Committee, and they told government to try again because this didn't answer the question.
Damn.
But then, Parliament was dissolved. And when it came back and we relaunched again, we got the same answer copied and pasted into the new one, just rearranged a little bit. Part of me suspects all action in the UK has been held up by one grumpy bureaucrat.
Yes,
in
this is the new
department.
update.
Well, now we can ignore that crap and head straight to Parliament. I mean, they cannot do worse than this. A member of Parliament could sneeze on the petition and that would not be a worse answer. And that's the one guaranteed thing we'll get out of this, which is answers. Now, for those of you wanting to juice this further, it's been brought to my attention there's a page for finding out who your member of parliament is if you want to reach out and tell them, yes,
This is
bring
expanding
this
in
up in
just the
parliament.
right way.
I'd say, yeah, that could help. But that
This is
absolutely
expanding
is
in
more
very
work
much
than
the
signing
right
your
way.
name, so I'm keeping my expectations in check. There's a link in the description of this video. Okay, that's it. Just keep pushing. Now we're in the fog.
All right. Okay, so shut up, John Oliver. All right. So yeah, that's been working. That's been so not out of the woods in terms of signatures, but the broader trend seems to be that it's going in the right direction. All right. I'm running low on time. I did want to go over this one more video from Louis Rossman that is talking to him directly. He's talking to Ross right now?
Yeah, just to add a little bit to this, we're not asking them to release, private keys and secrets in their server binary. Like, they can strip a lot of that stuff out before they give it to you. So a lot of games will have like an anti-cheat.
They're talking right now.
Proprietary
Okay.
code or some kind of other solution.
Well, that's
only
different.
needed for
That's so
only
cool.
needed in certain cases.
Okay, I don't know what to do now. Okay.
Ross is asking
where
for
did the
is kind
conversation
of more
start?
stripped
How long
down
have they been
version
going?
of that.
They just started?
Is not
Not a.
Hold on.
I messed something up already. Hello, hey everybody. How's it going? I'm live with the man, the legend, Ross Scott, the creator and starter of Stock Killing Games, and a developer that you may not know. Would you just be able to introduce yourself for the people in the audience?
You cannot stop
Very
the
cool.
stream ever.
So, I have so many questions for you. So
Hey,
let's-
look, nigga, I got Mexican food to get today, all right? It's my birthday. Fuck that. But I do want to check this out.
First one is, for me, I started doing repair stuff in 2008, 2009, and I didn't talk about it until 2014, even though it was obvious it was a problem. It's just, it never struck me as enough is enough. So for you, with games, because you've been talking about games and had your channel for a really long time, what was the moment for you where enough, oh, people can't hear you, I suck.
Mexican food on my birthday.
Oh, I am such a fucking failure at this.
Oh, then happy birthday. Thank you very much.
1 second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me skim through this real fast.
Can you just introduce yourself for people who may not know who
Sure.
you are?
So,
And
hey,
pretend
my
that you
name
didn't
is-
already just do this.
Yeah, sure. My name is Matthew. I'm an indie game developer. I make a game called Father Times.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate
Are we
it.
ending soon, right? Yes, I'm ending
So,
soon.
for
What's
you,
up?
what was the moment? What was the enough is enough? Like,
Okay, this is...
Fish out of water. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew there was a problem, so I thought if I could put that on blast. But I had several videos prior to that.
Eat
pointing
my
out the
Discord.
problem.
Now I'm scared. Hold on.
I think the real enough is enough was last year because with the crew shutdown, I almost look at that like imagine a sniper just waiting and waiting and waiting for a shot, and then somebody pops his head up. That's kind of how I viewed the crew. So if that opportunity hadn't come, I might not have been able to do anything. But it checked off.
You mean
a
the
lot of
server or my
boxes
DMs?
For being able to act on it.
all right, now when I did a video.
Wait,
on
what?
Stop Killing Games,
What?
just a video going over the
Dragalia, what the
of
fuck?
campaign, I believe last July or last August. And
Hold on, y'all. Oh my god. Oh my god. What the shit? How do I make this bigger? Hold on. What the fuck? Y'all are... Oh my god. What the fucking shit? Hold on. God, how do I fucking move to the screen? All right, hold on. Hold on. Wait, y'all, what the fuck did y'all do? What did y'all do? Y'all made all these fucking what the fuck? Oh my god. Y'all fuckers, man. Y'all already know the drill. Okay, Emily, I have to be. I got copyright struck last time. I can't play it. I want to. You know what? No, here's what I'll do. Okay. We'll close out with that. All right, y'all. Arb, I know you got your thing on Twitch, but I need the I got you. Okay, y'all. Okay, I got you. All right, y'all. All right, listen. My throat hurts. This is taking a very different direction than I thought it would go. God, man. Oh my God, y'all are. Okay. All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let me sign this off appropriately. All right. Let me sign this off on topic, and I will close this out. I will close the YouTube stream so I don't get struck, and then we will end out with the John. Okay, we'll end out with this song. I gotta play this song now because y'all. I fucking love you niggas, man. Oh my God, Tregalia, thank you so much. Did you make all three of them? Who made all of these? Was it Tregalia for all three? Who made the broccoli? Because the glasses are sick. Oh my God. You made all of them? Oh my God, you fucking niggas, man. Oh my God, my heart is on fire right now. I love y'all niggas. Oh my fucking goodness. Tregalia, thank you so much. Did y'all coordinate in secret? You fuckers. Oh my God. Oh my God. Big fucking GG indeed, man. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, there is something clearly more interesting to watch than me right now. And my throat hurts, so I need to shut the fuck up soon anyway. What I'll say is this. Y'all, if y'all, I'm assuming at this point, if you've been watching the stream this long, you've you're able to, you've already signed the Stop Killing Games initiative. For anybody who sees this VOD or video or whatever I do with this recording later on in a future point, if you care about video games at all, please look into this. Please engage with it. Please sign the petition if you have the means, if you live in an EU country. If you don't understand how important this is, I encourage you to make the effort to try to. I encourage you to make the effort to try and understand why this is important to your rights as a consumer, why this is important for the future health of the game industry. If you care about playing games at all in any capacity, it is of critical importance. It is an opportunity that we are unlike, especially now that the buzz has been so big, such that it's raised a red flag possibly in the eyes of certain publishers already with this, just the raw Streisand traffic of this. It is very, 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 very important that we capitalize on this opportunity and push it forward. If you're not super engaged with politics and rights and activism or whatever the fuck, and you feel like there's no intersection with that in video games, this situation right now is the firmest evidence you are ever going to get at how far away from the truth that actually is. And I hope you follow the situation very, very closely. Ross Scott, if I doubt you will ever see my face, but I want you and anybody watching me to know that you have such an absurd amount of respect from me for your efforts and for your continued engagement with this problem that I will never stop being thankful for that. It is insane how much you've done, and I hope, I understand that you're tired, dog, but you got the torch. You better run with that shit, nigga. I'm telling you. you're the fucking guy. And if you keep being the guy and keep committing to being the guy and being better as the guy and forming an organization, forming an effort, forming a fully powered and just forward initiative. This is becoming an absolute fucking train, becoming a monster at this shit. I think you have the potential in your hands to make insanely positive changes to this industry and to the gaming community as a whole. And I believe in that fully. And if you don't understand why I or other people do believe in that, despite how tired you may be, I encourage you to just keep on re-engaging, man. It has been great seeing this take off the way that it has, especially in the last week. I wish I were home so I could have been covering this more. I wish I had more time to talk more about it. But I'm glad I've gotten the chance, and I'm glad I've had people sitting here willing to listen to me ramble about it this entire fucking time. Everybody watching, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I was not sure if I'd stream today. This was originally supposed to be a video that was much less scripted. I didn't have chat to bounce off of, so I was questioning my words and the way I phrase things and trying to be hyper perfectionist about it. The video would have been very bad, just straight up. And I'm trying to learn how to scrap shit and just move on. And this is another thing that I've scrapped. All that. So I feel like this was great. I feel like for those that do not understand the issue, we've gotten through some things. There's still a long way to go with this. There's still a hugely long way to go with this. This might be something that really snowballs into a thing that we are looking at in the news for years, guys. This is a very big thing. And we're seeing the very beginning of it. And it's a rare chance to see something like this take form. So it's just been really cool. So I encourage y'all to stay engaged with this. Thank you so much for your interest and for listening to me talk about it. It means a lot to me. And I hope that shows in the way that I've talked about it all day. That said, to your point, Emily, in terms of our regularly scheduled programming, which is playing games, we have other fish to fry. Before I left for my vacation, and hell, really, I was in the middle of playing Deltarune. I had just finished the main storyline in the normal route. There's still things that I have left to find in that game, and because Deltarune is basically a game that I have a blood contract with for the rest of my days as a living, breathing human husk of a being and soul, I will need to get back to that before we do anything else. In terms of when I'm back, I'm more back than I was before, but it might be hopefully less time than last time. I'd say within the next week and a half. I think within the next 10 days, I can promise a stream. My schedule's very strict right now, and I'm trying to patch that up. I think it'll improve after the 20th, after the 21st of this month. I'll be able to start setting up my schedule for August, during which time I can probably commit to some more streams here and there. And then from there, I'll probably be focusing on video content for the rest of the year. But I'll still be here. That's not me saying I'm going to be gone. I'm just trying to figure out how the fuck I'm going to balance all this, because the nigga is fucking busy, y'all. Oh my God, y'all have no idea. But we're figuring it out bit by bit. I'm not gone. I told y'all I'm back. I promise you I'm back. Y'all may not see me every week. Y'all may not see me every day. But I promise y'all I am here. Y'all can tag me anytime. Y'all can talk to me anytime. I can't guarantee when I'll respond, but my ass is here. Also, side note, I haven't plugged this in a long time. I might start putting a little bumper in this here too. But y'all can email me too. If anyone needs to get in touch with me for a reason, if y'all need me to talk about things or y'all want me to talk about a specific thing, I feel like the best way to get me to talk is to give me a poke, especially when I can't be on the camera. So please, if I'm not in the Discord, hit up my Blue Sky, hit up my email. I leave the email in my video description of every video that I post. You know, I can't always guarantee that my presence will be consistent, but I can guarantee that I will see anything that y'all try to shoot directly at my face. I will make sure of that. So that said, next plan, I'm going to come back to Deltarune, hopefully within the next couple weeks. After that, I did not forget Outer Wilds. We will get there. And then after Outer Wilds, I don't know. I don't fucking know. But I'm going to try my best to really just focus on the content end of things now. Just trying to get something that's thought out and edited and clean and good looking. And it's entertaining. Something that'll just be fun to do. Because I missed that part and I've been trying to experiment with it in the background. And it's a process, but we're getting some places. So, that said, excuse me, thank y'all for waiting on me. Thank y'all for coming through this. Don't burn yourself out. I'm invincible, motherfucker. I don't die. Not from, well, actually, no, my throat is killing me slowly. I actually might keel over and cough on the ground as soon as I leave this stream. But it's, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. And I care about this enough to where I'm not giving up a shit. And we shouldn't either when it comes to this. So, that said, YouTube, I'm going to end that stream real quick. One moment. And without further ado,